So we're rolling? We're all good.
Would that be a timer you just said? Or?
I got a little timer here. It tells me how long we talk for, right? So remember the old days when you did it first? I had a little piece of paper every 15 minutes or whatever, and I was like, fuck that shit.
Yeah. Let's go digital.
Technology.
Yeah.
It'll beep at 90 minutes, but that's about it. Okay.
All right.
All right, boys. How's it going?
Excellent.
It's going well.
How about yourself?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love these roundtables, man. This is the third one, and I want to do a little shout out that the Sparkies haven't done one yet, because they're the ones that have been breaking my balls about trying to get one done, and I'm like, well, you guys have to bring certain things to the table, right? So that's just about it. And since the plumbers already came on board, and then we did deck builders, and now we're doing ICF, which I'm excited about.
Super exciting.
I don't know everything about ICF. I know how to spell it, and that's about it, right? But I don't know the physical work of it. I got to come by your job site, George, one time and just like check it out and work on it, and come by yours as well, Adrian, everybody's, right? Yeah. And just check it out. But it's nice that Ryan's here, right? Because
we say that now.
No. No, because what we wanted, the way I wanted to design this show, right? We'll introduce you guys eventually, but the thing is, the way I wanted to design the show is that we want to talk about ICF, right? So insulated concrete forming, right? That's what we want to talk about. But we still want to talk about traditional forming.
Of course.
Excellent.
It's really important to talk about both of them, right? But we want to have, and I'm sure Ryan's bringing your A game, right? About the pros and cons.
The pros and cons. And to be honest with you, I'm not totally one-sided. I see a lot of advantages to ICF. It's just...
Well, that would be a good tradesperson if you're not just one-sided.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you'd be surprised at how many guys in the industry are
They're just so old school. This is it.
Blinders are on. It's like, I don't care. There's no way styrofoam's going to do the job. It's like, oh,
but
you don't try, you don't know.
Tile guys were saying that for how long when the Schluter started coming in and all of a sudden doing trays, and then there was always mud dogs. It was always dry pack. It was always this.
You could take it to any trade. And like the evolution of construction.
Foam is the future. That's all I'm going to say. So, all right, let me get you guys to introduce yourself. To the left of me, I've got Adrian. He's back. You were just here recently.
Yes, I was. Adrian, owner of the CRC Contract.
That's it? Nothing else? No other shout-outs? What's the social media handle?
C.R.C _ contracting.
Contracting. Okay. And then you're an ICF installer, builder, and a GC.
Yes.
Jack of all trades, everything like that. And you've seen the shit.
I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly.
His last show that he was here, he was just bone to pick to attack. There's a lot of, how do we want to describe them? I guess
shitty people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the
uneducated.
The economy's allowed it to happen, right? So much work out there. You can just pretty much fall out of bed, go to Home Depot, buy a hammer. You're a contractor. Yeah. Right. You make up a name, order some gear. You don't even get it.
But is that happening for ICF industry?
Oh
yes.
fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially the ICF industry.
I think there's a scary part. I got a traditional guy here, but it's marketed as almost a do-it-yourself product.
No,
that's the problem. Is they've marketed it as a homeowner can do it. That's not right.
Oh yeah. That look on your face. It's
I've always argued that this industry is professional. We're all career oriented, and that you need special skills to do the work that has to be done.
Which you do. Which you do. 110%.
And you do. I mean, we'll get the occasional call where someone will be like, "Hey, I'm doing my own foundation. Da 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 da. I'm wondering if you guys could pour it." It's like, what? What? So we're
twice a week.
Yeah.
You get those phone calls too?
Twice a week.
So they installed it, and they want you to pour it, and they have the responsibility of a blowout.
And of course, they have no idea truly how to do it right, or where the potential for blowouts are, and all that kind of fun stuff, or even what a buckout is. So it ends up in a situation where they don't know how to brace anything properly, and they just think it's going to be fine. But they don't realize, of course, is when that pump starts pumping and the concrete starts flowing, everything starts moving, and then it's too late, right? But they're sadly, the industry allows you to sort of take a course for a couple of days to become, it's not certified. It's, I don't even know what you would call it. It's like
license to buy.
It's like an introduction to ICF, and this is how it goes together. And you get a little card saying you took the course, but it's not, you're not really certified or anything.
Listen,
you've never actually done
a little card doesn't mean anything. Everybody's got a driver's license.
What are your thoughts, Adrian?
Basically,
that's
what that card is
Sorry?
a competency fucking thing, and it's absolutely fucking useless.
There we go. The red light's on. The red light's on.
That's it.
All right, so George, hang on. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. Introduce yourself, please. I know you, but a lot of listeners might not know you, right?
So George Rodriguez, I'm the CEO of DGR Concrete Forming.
You're the R of DGR, no?
I am the R of DGR.
Okay, I'm just saying. And then we got Adam across the table there.
Yeah, Adam DeCare. I own IsoMatrixx Building Products, just an ICF distributor. Yeah.
Not just.
Well, yeah, okay, not just.
I don't like any tradesperson telling me just ahead of their title, because I don't think just gives it justice. That's just
very
me.
true.
Call me crazy,
Very true. Yeah.
but it's not. We are not just tradespeople or anybody, right? So, I mean, maybe the Sparkies. We'll just leave it at that. They know I joke with them. All right, so Adam, and now we got Ryan on the end
Ryan,
there.
I'm one of the owners at DGR.
Okay.
And I kind of oversee all the production. So I get a little taste of ICF and traditional, but we do a little bit more traditional than we do ICF. So
Yeah, I was just going to say, you guys are all looking good with the tans because you guys are definitely concrete guys.
outside 6 days a week. Yeah, 7 really. But
Well, I mean, to be honest, almost everybody who's in the trades try to put them behind a desk. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But
They don't belong there.
Yeah, and even
You don't cage an animal.
And even the folks who, like myself, as an example, who's kind of at the top, helping to run DGR. I have a lot of stuff that I have to do that involves me being behind a desk or not being out, and it makes me crazy because all I really want to do is swing a hammer. Like I want
But
to
that
be out
work
there.
needs to be done, George.
Correct, and
It
that's
does.
the challenge, right? So everybody really who's in a trade likes working with their hands. They do not want to be pushing paper or doing any of that. They really want to be doing the work.
It's funny. Today we were having a conversation, Adrian. We were talking about how I'm not boning to pick on the inspectors, right? But I definitely, like, you do a test, you read a book, and you become a building inspector. And I don't think that's fair. I think that there should be a lot more experience attached to that.
well, you have to know somebody there to get a job as a building inspector, right?
That's a whole other world. But I wanted to get back to your point about the DIYer, right? It's like when there's a blowout, when there's something that happens, because when you guys are pouring, it's a symphony when everything's going right because you planned it all right.
Yep.
And it's a mess if one little thing goes wrong, and homeowners won't know how to react to a blowout, to anything.
Mess is an understatement in our game because it's concrete. The clock's ticking. It comes from the time it's batched at the plant to the time it comes out of the truck. It's actively going off. It's a chemical reaction. People think concrete dries. It doesn't. It's a chemical reaction. So it's going off. So if something goes sideways or you're delayed or you don't know what you're doing, it goes from, oh, this is kind of shitty to, oh, this is just fully detonated. It's over. Call an excavator. We now have to remove everything and start over. There's no room to fuck up, basically. Like, you got to get it right.
And I think any good seasoned tradesperson in this trade, you've had those bad moments, right?
Oh yeah.
And you've learned hard
Oh yeah.
on those moments, right?
And anybody who says they hasn't,
They're lying.
Yeah.
They're lying.
totally
or they're not experienced enough,
Yeah,
right?
or-
You got to learn somewhere.
But
right?
you learn at those moments, right? And then you avoid having those moments again because you are going to have more moments.
Oh, totally. I mean, we've got a whole pile. We're very fortunate. We have a whole pile of sort of older, seasoned gentlemen who have been around for quite some time.
What's the oldest guy on your crew?
I don't know. It got to be close.
65.
65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the youngest? Who's the youngest?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In concrete?
Yeah.
Where'd you find him? At the zoo?
No.
They're hard to come by,
They're
but
very hard to come by. And
with
when
the
you-
right
20
attitude.
years old.
Yeah, and we
comes from a
really-
bloodline of doing concrete, though.
Yeah, like that tends to be the thing. Like we seek out, we would love to hire as many sort of younger folks as we could, and younger kids, whatever, to train them up. The problem is, it's a real tough trade. It's a very hard, tough trade. Pays really well, but just a lot of people aren't cut out for it.
I think it's lost the glamour. There's not enough glamour to it, right? It's like, hey, you can sign up to do the hardest work.
I don't think it's lost the well, see, I got rose-colored glasses. Like if I'm walking by a construction site and it's concrete
looking.
or framing
Or
even
anything.
roofing, any of
Absolutely.
those, I'm stopping.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Who's the youngest trade you've worked with that, Adrian, you've seen come on your job sites?
I had one guy, he was 20.
20 years old, huh?
Yeah.
Was he hungry? Was he like,
Oh, fucking kid was starving.
yeah?
Yeah.
And he wanted it.
He wanted it.
Because that's not the norm, right? Like
No.
it can't be the
So
norm.
this is a question. Is he still with you?
Actually, no, because I was just doing ICF and he wanted to expand and do other things. And we've actually been talking back and forth over the last 6 months, and he's wanting to come back.
And that to my point, it's just like a lot of these younger, hungry people learn. They learn quick. They learn good. And then they see an opportunity to maybe start their own business or, in a scenario, if you don't have enough room to move up, you'll go somewhere where you can move up because that hunger.
So that's a big problem. Like you guys all see this, right? Like it's just they haven't learned all the lessons yet. They're not ready to go on that first field trip into the world.
No. And a lot of them that, and look, if someone's got some entrepreneurial spirit and they want to do their own thing, have at it, man. Good idea. I mean, this is, we're probably tipping into this a little too soon. We'll probably talk about this later, but
no, that's
starting
fine.
a business and stuff.
But
the reality is for a lot of these guys, they have to realize it's like, stop thinking about how quickly you get your own pickup truck and be running a crew. Like you have to work pretty hard and know what the hell's going on before you can even think about doing that. And some of them go out on their own, in my opinion, too soon.
I would say most go on their own.
They go out too soon. They should be trying to work with the company they're with, sort of for as long as makes sense to gain all the skills they possibly can. Let the person you're working for know that you would like to in the next 2 or 3 years be able to have your own business and you'd like to learn. Yeah. And most guys that are in the trades would be like, dude, I'll teach you. Yeah. Hands down.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Everybody in the trades learn typically from some old guy or somebody or their dad or their uncle, right? So when you've got a kid who wants to learn, you want to teach them. But a lot of these guys, they want everything too quickly, I find.
I think that this younger generation, and it's not just your trade, I think it's every trade, they're working with dog years.
Yeah.
So they think 1 year in construction is 7 years of experience in construction.
It's a good point.
And it's not. Yeah. Because if you guys remember when you first got started, how many lows and highs and problem solving, and it wasn't months, it was years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, but then it's a different culture these days, right?
I feel the best way, like you look at it, running machinery, right?
Yeah.
I got 2,000 hours in the seat. I got 20,000 hours, whatever it may be. It's almost a lot easier to like gauge. Run it back to me. When we got our crane, I had no experience on a crane. We got a crane. It's like, I feel at this point, 6, 7 years later, it's like, okay, I'm a pretty decent operator. Then I look at the hour meter and it's like, actually, maybe I think I'm a good operator. But yeah, still just stay on high alert because still got a lot to learn, right?
You need a convenience store mirror in that cab of the excavator so you can look at yourself going, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, I'm not ready yet.
But you need that time. You need the seat time. You need to make mistakes. You need to, you need to have that happen. Some of these kids, unfortunately, regardless of the trade, and again, somebody wants to be an entrepreneur, have at it. But I feel like just kind of hang for a bit and learn as much as you can because they dive in head first.
It's true. And
inevitably what ends up happening is 3-4 years down the road, the government is after them because they have no concept of what it takes to actually run the business.
Yes.
And next thing you know, Revenue Canada, workers' compensation, like everybody is after them for like, hey, you owe us a lot of money.
So speaking of that, I know every trade's a little different, but what's, for a younger kid, how many years, and again, every trade's different, every company's different, but us sitting around here, what do we think is kind of, before you start being seasoned, how many years are you working in that trade?
Bare minimum 5.
I think I could agree with that.
Bare minimum 5.
If you're a fast learner.
You're working for either a really good one employer that you've had for 5 years, or you either went to 2 or 3 good employers for maybe 1.5 to 2 years each.
Yeah.
And I think you get a nice cross-reference of different people. And I think it's actually beneficial if you went to different, as long as they're good and they keep on propelling you forward, then I think it's a good idea. But I think 5 is a magic number that would give you enough rings in your trunk. You know what I'm saying? That you would get a really good gauge of the industry and you would learn a lot of problems.
No, it's very true. I'd agree with that.
So then back to the homeowner who decides they're going to do their own foundation.
Like, what is that crap about? Is that marketing on sales side? Is like brands? Is that what it is? It's like,
I think
it's so easy your child could do this.
Yeah, it's the old ICF way. Like they used to teach, like that's what they used to market it as back in the day.
Like Lego blocks? Like it's like...
They literally use that example. Yeah. And here's the killer. This is the problem, right? I've spoken to piles of people about this that are kind of in the industry and like selling the stuff, doing the training. It's like, guys, like you need to, the reason why you've got a bad reputation and you get people with the knee-jerk reaction, oh, ICF is crap, ICF is this, ICF just blows out, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of stand there and go, well, actually, no. But what they're doing is all they're doing is parroting something that they heard. And all of that really got started because of all the people who were completely unprepared to dive down that rabbit hole, who did, and shit blew up. And it all went to, hell in a handbag. And what happens? Oh, it's the block's fault. It's the product. It's like, no, you have no clue what you're doing. You don't have appropriate training or experience, and this is why this went south on you.
1% of the time, it's the material's fault. 1%, if that.
I don't even think it's that.
I was going to say, it's not even that.
It's not even that, right?
Yeah.
It's construction. We got to blame somebody.
Well,
who would possibly take the blame for something going wrong?
You have to know how to work with the stuff. Yeah. I mean, you've got guys, and Adrian here will probably speak to this for sure and understand what I'm saying about this one. You've got guys that, for example, are quoting, whether it be a traditional foundation, an ICF foundation, and often, of course, you've got guys that it's all about the money. It's all about, I got to get my price down.
Sorry to interrupt. Is that also going back to they're making it sound easy, and it's also the money that you're going to make? That kind of mentality? You can charge more or you can make more? Is that an argument there?
I don't know that I've actually heard that being sort of said out loud by anybody, but, oh, you're going to make a fortune doing this. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it, to be honest. But I think what a lot of it boils down to is you have people charging down this path who don't have the experience. The industry, the manufacturers really, I think, have done truly a piss poor job of educating people, and every installer out there will probably nodding their head up and down right now going, oh yeah, man, just savage what I was originally told. And maybe now I've survived 6, 7, 8 years in, but man, at the beginning, there's no way in hell I should have ever been putting up a foundation for someone. And it turned out shit, and thank God I didn't lose everything I have in the process. That's the thing. When you screw it up, it's concrete. It's a bit difficult to remove and expensive.
It's a big
Most guys just run for the hills. And the client who hired them because they were the cheapest and it was their first job and they just wanted to do one, those are the guys that instead of putting the bracing the correct width apart based on what they're doing, which half the time they don't know because they don't have the experience, or, you know, anything required to kind of hold the whole thing together they're not 100% sure about, they don't have the experience. And that's how problems happen, right? That's how stuff blows up.
Okay, so I know that we've been going all over the place. We're going to talk about a lot of things here. Yeah. But I guess the first question, and Ryan, you can answer this question too, or you can actually do the flip side of it. Why do you guys love ICF? Because it grew over the pandemic years, right? For obvious reasons of what was going on in the just society in general, and lumber prices going through the roof and everything like that. Yeah. But I'd like to know from all you guys, why do you guys love ICF? And then Ryan,
to be honest with you, like from a traditional, like I love ICF specifically for the energy efficient, like all the benefits to building a house and how easy it is to make it efficient. Love it. I thought, like, going into this venture and stuff, it's like, well, it's these light blocks.
Well,
an impact driver, like, this is easy.
Sitting over there, Ryan, sitting in that seat over there, at the beginning, I'm like, hey, Ryan, you know, we should consider getting into ICF. Look on his face of utter horror, right? Because him, like a lot of people, had this in their head that there's no way, especially if you work with traditional, the forces are unbelievable. Right? Like, it's just completely savage.
To see a traditional blowout?
When you see a traditional one happening, and then and you're a traditional guy and try to wrap your head around suddenly doing that with
plastic and styrofoam.
Did you guys, Adrian, did you guys have the same mindset as well? Like, before you even got into the ICF, did you have the same mindset? No. You were convinced on the data that was presented.
I was too young and stupid to realize what was going on at the time. Like, I was 14 when I started ICF.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, that's great. Lots of experience here, folks.
And then Adam?
So, yeah, I did.
Like, you came from the industry as a tradesperson.
Yeah, right? I had my own construction company doing ICF and concrete work. But I had done it since high school, like going through high school.
So was it a no-brainer? Like, when you guys first, I mean, I'm sure with DGR, you guys were probably trying to understand it, whether or not is this where the industry is going to go? But you guys looked at it and said, this is where we're going.
So I had already done it way back in high school, right? Like, one of my first concrete jobs was actually on an ICF job. So that was the first time I saw it. Then I did foreman and stuff with it.
Oh, so you did ICF before you did traditional foreman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the catalyst for us was a couple things. One is, and this is sort of a bigger discussion, and I know there's going to be some people listening that go, man, George, you're on crack. There's just no way. Traditional forming is dying.
I'd say yes.
I will argue this.
I'd say yes. I'd
argue this to my grave. And the reason why is the writing's on the wall. You only have to go a little further north to see that. And it has nothing to do with the temperatures. All you got to do is go a little further north. And what have you found? Well, there's labor shortages up there. Where are the traditional guys up there? There aren't a lot of them, right? The guys who actually can do traditional and ICF, it's like they're like both weapons in there,
Yeah.
which is great. But the fact is, you don't have a lot of young people coming into our trade, right, to do traditional. It's heavy. All the old guys who are really good at and have all the experience, they're all retiring. One after another, they're all retiring.
So nobody's teaching.
So labor is the problem. Labor, there's a massive shortage of labor, just huge. So the reason for why I brought ICF to the table with my team, over at DGR, I should say our team at DGR, was to say, hey, we're doing this because part of my job is to think about what's happening 6 months from now and 6 years from now and et cetera. We should probably consider taking on, still doing foundations. We've got the client base, we've got the high-end clients, the builders, all that fun stuff, doing great stuff in traditional. We can bring that to the table and offer it to our existing clients because the writing is on the wall that the market is changing, right? The old guard is retiring and there's a massive shortage, and anybody who's tried to find a traditional concrete forming guy knows. You call right now trying to find somebody to do a foundation a month from now, it's like, sorry, booked for 4 months. Sorry, booked for 4 months. Sorry, I'll talk to you next year. Why are you calling me? If they even answer their phone. So for us, the big catalyst was we need to be able to offer both, which gives us 2 really good solid weapons. And it allows us now to bring more carpenters on and train them in. We have a huge amount of experience doing crazy ass shit in traditional. And we can just bring that, all the experience we have with the bracing and the tall walls and all the insanity stuff that we do. We can take a bunch of that know-how, blend it into ICF, and be able to take that on. And then it's going to be easier for us to get carpenters. The trick here is carpenters are really good at putting up walls. A lot of them don't know how to pour concrete. So
it's true.
If you can train them
experience, right?
If you
That's
can
how we
train
started.
them to pour, they can put up the blocks, square the building, they can do all that, put in the rebar, they can do all of it perfectly, ready to go, but they don't have experience pouring. Give them experience pouring, and there you go. You're done. But it's easier to find carpenters, which can then even frame the house right after, they can just keep going, than it is to find forming guys to do traditional forming. So for us, it was a matter of just hedging our bets and going, for sure, the writing's on the wall. This is going to be huge. So let's just adopt it now, bring it in, become the best we can at it, and just offer it to everybody. And it's been going great.
Adrian, when was the last time you did a traditional pour? Located in Southwestern Ontario, IsoMatrixx Building Products provides quality insulated concrete forming products and support to customers across Ontario as well as internationally. With over 20 years of experience in the ICF industry, IsoMatrixx Building Products has been a leading supplier of ICF and accompanying products to Ontario's construction industry. Specializing in Amvic ICF products as well as Insuldeck, Fab-form's fast foot products, MST's fiberglass rebar, bracing rental, and so much more. IsoMatrixx provides unparalleled customer service as well as fast and reliable tech support for any job. Distributing out of Kitchener with their own fleet of trucks means fast turnaround and versatile delivery to virtually any job site. As one of the leading ICF distributors in Ontario, IsoMatrixx can work alongside you all the way, whether the job be residential, commercial, or institutional. Check out IsoMatrixx with 2 X's at isomatrixx.ca and on IG at IsoMatrixx ICF, and also get in touch with them at isomatrixx.office@gmail.com. That long ago?
I'm thinking it's a long time ago.
2018 for a fireplace.
Really? But no, what about a foundation? When was the last time you did a traditional foundation?
Oh, I've never done.
You've never done. You've right into really. And then did you ever tackle a traditional one, Adam?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When was the last time you did one?
Oh, that's going back a couple of years now. I've had IsoMatrixx for 2 years. And then the last couple of years of contracting, I was just flat working ICF. So, yeah, it's been a couple of years since I've done it.
Are you guys seeing the market? Are the clients and the designers, the architects, coming more at you with ICF?
I feel like there's a lack of that.
Yeah. It's starting to happen more down here, but it's interesting because you'll have clients that'll be calling looking for a traditional foundation. And you go, hey, this foundation may actually lend itself to ICF. You may want to flip it over to ICF.
And you have the points of interest to explain to them why.
And folks go, huh? And we even get some, this is the part that I find really disturbing. We get no lack of folks, as I talk to everybody who calls in, flat out just saying, that is what we asked our architect to begin with. We wanted ICF. We wanted to do it in ICF, and we were told it's no good, it's this, it's that, termites will eat your whole house.
That's BS.
Yeah,
complete.
complete.
BS.
Like, and what it all boils down to is that architect or designer has no experience in it, and therefore
So they're just dismissing it.
it's
That
just
They don't want to
easier-
learn a new
right.
new
It's
thing.
dismissing
don't
on
wanna learn.
ignorance, right?
But what's happening though is those designers and architects are starting to get slapped around a bit because more and more people are asking for it. And you will notice, like in Oakville as an example, Mississauga, not too long ago, good luck finding an ICF home. I mean, occasionally you'd see one going up. You don't have to go too far now to see one
It's the
coming out of the
reverse
ground.
now, isn't it?
It's
I wouldn't say reverse. You still
yet.
see
Not yet.
predominantly traditional,
Yeah.
but
definitely
way
far
more,
more traditional.
way more
Are-
ICF than ever before.
Are we basically, I mean, could you almost go into the future and look at it and think when all the old school guys are out of the business, that all the young school guys are probably going to be just mostly ICF?
I think so. And building codes are just, hey,
leaning that
continuous
way.
Well, it's getting
insulation on
thicker
the
and
exterior
thicker,
and everything,
yeah.
right? So, I mean, right away, you're going to put a traditional foundation up and then slam 2 inches or 3 inches of foam on it. Well, the ICF makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right
So-
out of the
so you-
right out of the box.
So you guys aren't even answering any of my questions, man. Why do you love ICF? I need 4 answers here. 4 answers.
Just the building properties of it, the R value, the sound deadening.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you put the stuff up and it's November, December, it's freezing cold out. Well, guess
Yep.
what? It's already insulated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All you got to do is
Year
cover,
round.
all you got to do is cover the top of it, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's I'm trying to remember his name. I wish I could remember it and give him a shout out. I've talked to him a couple of times. He's out west, and he'll take like the barbecue thermometers. He'll take like the
You're not talking
you know,
about, you're not
is it
pound for pound.
Hollyhock?
Hollyhock.
Hollyhock. There we go.
Hollyhock,
Shout
okay,
out.
yeah.
And he'll take a thermometer. He's done this a couple of times, and he'll stick it in the wall through the foam, and it'll measure the temperature. And then it's the middle of winter. It's like minus a zillion degrees out there where these guys are working, and comes back the next day. And of course, it's a chemical reaction, so the concrete
So he's
is warm.
proving the point.
But the point is, the heat just stays in there.
Yeah.
Like he comes back the next day, still bloody warm in there. Come back the next day, still bloody warm in there, and onward, and because that thermal mass, right? It just sits there and holds the heat. So you cover so all of that tarping and all that mayhem you have to do is gone out the window. Like there's just so many benefits to it in comparison to traditional. You know, you're bringing, instead of trucking in forms on the back of a giant truck and the whole bit, like with a crane and craning it into the hole and all of that type of stuff. Well, it's nice when you still have the crane because the bracing and stuff can go into what we do.
That stuff, right?
We bring all of our rebar and everything like with our crane right into the hole just to make it easier on the boys. But what it means is that you're not, if traditional, you're bringing forms in. And the guys are uncaging everything, and all the forms have to leave again. That stuff is heavy, and it costs a lot of money to bring it back and forth. Mobilization costs are high.
Yeah.
Well, when you do ICF, you're shipping styrofoam, and
What's your answer,
it's just
Adam?
easier.
It's just easier on your body. I don't know.
That's actually a very good point.
Man, I hated concrete forming just for that reason.
The forms, how heavy is the form?
Too heavy.
8 foot high.
8 foot high, I don't know, 80 pounds.
80 pounds for one
70
board.
pounds, 80 pounds.
A 9.4. I would die if I had to do. I'm not kidding. I would
Every
die
day.
if I had to do 30 minutes of because I'm not cut out.
It's 1 inch thick, eh?
I've never been a foreman guy.
Yeah, mate. What, inch and an eighth?
Is it an inch and an eighth?
Not even.
But over time, what happens is like the 9'4" that are 24 inches wide, they become slowly saturated with oil
Yeah.
because they're sprayed. They become heavier and heavier. You pick one of those suckers up, and it's like you just look at the guys that are doing it every day and go, "You're a hero, man!" Like the fact that you can come to work and you can crush this, and just walk out of the hole, like, "Hey, man, let's go."
So, Ryan, why don't you love ICF?
Hey, I can't say I don't love it, right? But
Try to say why you don't love ICF.
To be honest with you, to your point, my personal experience, and it could be from the years of abuse on the body, but it's I found ICF harder in some ways. Like scabbing, any work that you're doing on the ground, I really dislike that. Bending over, kneeling, anything like that, I hate it. Versus with the traditional forms, you can reach the bottom with your hammer, clip that bottom buckle, and then everything's kind of from
That's a good point.
above.
That is a
above.
good point. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that, other than that, I mean, there's not too many downsides to ICF.
Well, and you can drag around 80 square feet at a time.
Yeah.
The forms are double-sided. You're not, it's,
Yeah.
Ease of use.
The bottom line is, again, for everyone listening that doesn't think it's true, sorry, it's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen.
She sends me, something's going on here. Yeah, Ryan, come over this way.
Am I too far out? I forgot to bring my mic with me. Am I too far out of it?
Don't be afraid, Angelina. Just to tell them. Don't worry. They're just concrete guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
They're just concrete guys.
There's nothing you can tell me I haven't already heard.
That's right.
No, so I want to. Okay, if you're a young kid and wanting to get into the business in this trade, and you want to really learn this, how does that person start?
Pick a reputable company and go.
Ask them as many questions as possible.
Be a sponge.
But what about this 1 day, 2 day training thing? Like,
Don't pay attention to that shit. Go to the actual guys that are installing the systems.
so go to the site.
Go to the site.
So,
Can I be a
Ask
fly
for
on the
a
wall?
job.
Go ahead.
so yeah, that's kind of not so true anymore. You can't just get a card from doing a course anymore. That's kind of
I can laminate one at
Gone.
home. I've got a laminating machine.
right. Like that's not
Making
really
money.
the way it works anymore. Like
You guys want a passport?
yeah, like you gotta, from my end, like I gotta pop out to sites, make sure everything's going good. Basically, it's kind of on me as a distributor selling it to someone, even a new contractor, someone who's done one or two. Like before we give them a card, you got to make sure they actually know what they're
But
doing.
even if
right?
you get a card, like my argument earlier where I said everyone's got a driver's license, and look how we
Right.
see that on the roadway, right? So
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't make you
all the
better-
card is for the building department to say, oh yeah, you're certified. That they just want to see it.
I'd rather see skill set in front of me on a job site than a card. I would never ask you for the card
Right.
if I saw the skill.
Yeah, and interestingly, I don't know if most people even know this. I just discovered this because of building up north. First time doing ICF up in Muskoka, said to the inspector, "Okay, I'll we'll give you a call to come and inspect after the walls are up." Oh no, I don't come back to inspect that. We're at footing inspection.
Yeah.
No, we don't inspect that. What? Yeah, no, just call me for framing. Like before you backfill and then framing, they don't look at anything.
So
The bracing, the rebar, the nothing. Apparently, it doesn't fall somehow, some way within the building
It
code where they
does.
have jurisdiction or something.
no, it requires a rebar inspection. And I actually ran into that on a job. The building department said, yeah, you don't need a rebar inspection. I said, yeah, you do. I knew you did. And they argued with me, I took a bunch of pictures and they said, yeah, you're good to pour. So I poured it. And then
Based on the photographs?
no, so I just took the pictures just for my own
Okay.
safety on it, right? So if they came back at me, I'd at least have pictures of the job site and the rebar in the wall. I poured it. They came back for an occupancy inspection. They're like, oh, we never did a rebar inspection. I had it all.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times do you guys see inspectors get on the job site and you're doing a footing inspection and they literally just glance and
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes them longer to blink than it
and
does to inspect?
And how are you supposed to? How do you know for sure
They
that all the
never even walk
rebar is
into-
down on the
yeah.
first two courses where they, they're staring down and how are they supposed to know everything is done right? Right.
Well-
I can tell you up in they're the way it was explained to me by the chief building inspector. I won't name the township. Was we have no jurisdiction whatsoever to force you to do anything related to the ICF. I have no power at all when it comes to that wall assembly and that wall. And I was like, come on.
It's a structural component.
All the engineering is done. I wish I knew what it was. I'm going to make a point of finding out what this is exactly. But I brought it up a second time and it was like, nope.
What's been your experience,
We have
Adrian?
no
Like,
jurisdiction.
inspectors.
Yeah, if they come in for footings, we'll see at backfill.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
there
I've had issues with Halliburton where they said that and they put it in an email. And then for just like Adam out of occupancy, they were like, oh, well, we didn't inspect this. It's like, I got an email saying you weren't going to, but
Yeah.
I've got a covered my ass file, so here's all my pictures.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like there's like some weird little
did the
gray area or
pictures do the
something
trick?
which is causing this confusion.
Pictures did the trick? Like,
No.
no, eh?
They wanted me to x-ray the job that I did.
X-ray
you
it.
kidding?
Really?
Yeah.
Are you
So
kidding?
they actually wanted me to flip the bill for it, even though it was all on file that I had went for rebar inspection, everything, and they
How
said,
do
no, you
how
don't
do
need it.
X-ray a wall like on that
I
job site?
have no idea.
They
I know
actually,
X-ray,
doable.
that's a big thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
you
had
can
it
X-ray
done.
that, yeah.
But
Well, I think there's a lot of manufacturers, Bosch, Hilti, all these people, even for concrete cutters, it's essentially a tool you can buy.
I would go behind the wall and just do a
Yeah,
pose or something.
you put it on the concrete floor. It'll show you, conduits, wires,
Yeah.
rebar,
I know Bosch has got like a little tool that you can.
little
Yeah.
tool. I mean, you're
Depending
not
on the depth of
X-raying
it.
a whole foundation with
Yeah,
that.
they-
It might take a while.
Okay,
But
so I thought that's what I thought. Like,
no, I don't think. Again, I've never had the experience of anybody wanting me to X-ray anything. But
I have, and it's like a little,
really?
and they 2 people put it up on the wall and go
Cheese,
down,
and that's
back.
it?
Yeah, I had.
Wow.
I actually came in to fix a house from another guy, ICF, and there were 392 voids in it.
There you go.
So that's the reason why they're
Well,
asking
and this is one of the things you will hear from folks that are in the concrete business. They go, "Well, like honeycomb, voids, etc." What it boils down to is this: you get someone who doesn't have experience pouring and vibrating concrete, and you cut them loose. Well, guess what? There's nothing you can't. You're not stripping everything off like traditional concrete, so you can't see
You'll
it.
never tell.
So if you don't have
Maybe
somebody
one of my other issues with ICF.
who's competent at pouring concrete, like professional who knows how to pour concrete, and this is a big beef with me. This is why newbies should not be allowed to do ICF foundations. I'm sorry, no, because you can't without scanning
You should
everything.
grow into it. You should totally learn and grow into it.
Correct. You have to know how to pour and vibrate concrete
First,
first. Yeah, for
walk.
sure.
Learn how to walk
Yeah.
before you run.
Like the cutting of the block and putting all that together, that's the least of it. The most important part, in my opinion, is like when you're pouring the concrete, that's all properly consolidated, and that's the wall, right? The rest is insulation. You can't fuck that up, right? Like you can, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So you take a newbie, and I can tell you right now, I've never actually myself poured a wall. Okay, I wouldn't pour a wall. If Ryan were to say to me, "Hey, we're shorthanded, George, can you take the hose?" I'd go,
You wouldn't have the
with all due
faith
respect.
in.
No, probably not. It's not an
No.
entry-level job. The guy that's running the
No,
pump.
there
the
there
guy
is
that's-
a.
You agree the
Oh,
same?
yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to know your shit to be on the hose.
That's the same thing. Adam?
Totally.
That's the kind of-
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you
But it's
have
funny how it's been marketed as just come and go. That's it. Get it done.
oh yeah, hop up on the scaffolding, grab the hose, and just let her
to
rip.
just give her. Nothing
Yeah.
can possibly go wrong. Pumping
Except for
thousands of
everything.
pounds of exactly. So to me, it should literally be illegal to sell a homeowner block. Full stop. You should have to be like a licensed professional trade person to be able to buy block. It is outrageous. Like someone could just simply die quite easily.
I think that point lends to the concrete industry, though. Should it be a trade?
I think it should.
100%.
It's not a trade. I think that's part of the glamour.
There's no licensing.
Oh,
It comes in your carpentry.
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
red seal, you're certified.
But it's
to do
funny you
concrete.
say that. But in commercial applications, it is right.
In what sense?
Well, concrete forming, carpentry, it's a
Well,
seal.
it's roped in
Yeah,
to the whole
carpentry part.
But when it comes
part.
into resi, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's-
like what you're saying on large commercial projects. Traditionally, you got your carpenters building your concrete work
Yes.
or your form work.
Yes.
I get that, but I'm saying if it was its own trade, you got specifically trained in concrete forming, whether it's
Would
traditional
that be
ICF,
a better thing or worse?
pouring concrete? Because I mean, you could talk to a lot of carpenters. What they learn in that red seal course, I don't know if it makes you a true concrete
I
professional.
go back to the
Yeah,
driver's
not a
license.
fucking
It
chance.
doesn't. I've seen good guys that are sealed and not sealed. I've seen guys that are good guys that are union, non-union. Like it depends on. I go back to skill.
Yeah.
I think it all. I think
And you're
it
only as
really
good as
all
the
boils
job that you're
down
currently
to-
doing.
Yeah, I think it would. A lot of it just simply boils down to is where did you start? Who trained you? How much
Yeah.
experience do you have? Like anything in the trade.
Carry the conversation. You guys all know. You guys can talk to somebody in 2 seconds and know if they're full of it or not, right?
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
You could tell. There's no.
I
there's
think
no
you could almost
faking.
fake your way. There's some good talkers out there. They
You
can
think
fake
so?
their- they
Some
can
good
fake
old
their-
concrete actors.
until you actually put your hands on the tools.
Yeah.
That in the first 2 minutes on a job site, you should
Watch
you
the
get a
way
good
they,
idea.
they grab a tool or something like that. or-
literally from the way they grab it to the way they use it to
What
is
what it looks like, what they did with it.
What's the dead giveaway if they grab a tool incorrectly?
It's body language.
different
You can
tool,
tell.
different tools, different pickup. Okay, go
When
ahead.
they grab a hammer and they're like,
Tap, tap.
Yeah,
and it's like, holy fuck, do you know how to swing a hammer? Go home.
but you can tell just how they get in and out of a truck. Like you can just tell people have experience and those who don't. Right.
The way
And-
they tie up their boots in the morning, if they tie up their boots in
I
the
was going
morning,
to say if
Yeah,
they're tied.
yeah.
Yeah, and for example, like
it's a
for
good
us,
point.
we don't interview. We're gonna hire somebody. Somebody calls. There's like a conversation on the phone or whatever, and it's like, all right, show up Tuesday at 6 a.m.
You
Be standing
vet.
in the yard.
You're
right?
vetting right on the phone.
Well, pretty much. But then whether someone is going to be staying or not, that's up to the crew. If you can survive the old guys, if they give you the nod, then you're in.
But
Hey,
today-
they're not savage.
No.
They're
but-
actually like the nicest
They
old
are.
guys.
They are.
I was
But,
gonna say,
but they
it's
know.
not
They know
razzing.
if you have what it takes or not.
Yeah, but
right?
it's not razzing though. It's
not razzing.
It's not like throwing
No.
wheelbarrows across the job site.
No,
It's
there's
not
none of that.
I
There's
think
none of
within the
that.
like a week or two, it could start to turn to razzing
because they like
not.
you
Yeah, okay, yes, razzing like you said, or kind of pushing.
to learn more. I want you to succeed.
No,
they
what I'm
wanna-
trying to say is if they don't like you after those 2 weeks, that
then-
you're slowly going to start to feel maybe disincluded.
Yeah.
And I can't even elaborate on that. It's just
The feel.
you're either going to start coming in, they're going to start to see some promise, they're going to start, hey, come help me with this, or or it's going to be like you're always going to be looking around with nobody to help you because nobody. It's
Because
I don't think
because they
that's
know
our company.
they-
I think that's just the trades in general.
Yeah,
Right?
100% it is.
And a bunch of it, I think, is if you've got the right attitude, you show up on time, you're right there to help at all times. Nobody has to prod at you. Your phone does not come out of your pocket. As a matter of fact, your phone shouldn't even be on you. Like the guys can tell, right?
Yeah.
The seasoned guys know. They can tell if you've got the right attitude, you're good or not, or you're basically just a snowflake. And it's like the second things get a little tough. Hey, let's go. I'm going to miss break because the truck's coming. Oh, man, I got to take my break. Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works in concrete.
Concrete is the break. Once
Yeah.
it's poured and it's sealed and everything's done, you clean it
Absolutely.
up.
It's
That's
the best
break.
break ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those trades where, the law says X and we do everything we can to follow that, but there are times and nobody ever complains because they know. It's like, this is happening. We got to get it done. Grab a sandwich and eat it while you're like doing whatever and because shit's got to happen at a certain time.
So I want to go with the young guys trying to get in and the girls getting into the industry. What makes a good concrete tradesperson? Like, I mean, like everyone is always, and I agree with you, Ryan, about that. There are some performers out there. Like they know how to talk and walk and be a salesperson. They can sell themselves based on no skills at all. But what makes a good person that when they walk in there and they're meeting you for the first time, they're on the job site for the first time, what makes them the potentially good tradesperson?
I think attitude, willingness to want to learn and help and do. If
The
you see
fire.
that,
Sorry?
The fire.
So they got to show that the desire there.
Yeah.
body language tells you everything.
There's certain things that don't take very much skill at all. And don't get me wrong, something as simple as digging dirt, yeah, there is some skill to that. But the way you approach it, I think, dictates a little bit, like I said, the way you tie up your boot, the way you get out of your truck, all that stuff is already forming. And back to your original point, how does somebody get into it? A young person getting into it. We talking zero construction experience. Let's say out of high school.
Out of high school.
I want to
late teens, out of high school, and I love concrete. I love the smell of concrete. You know what I mean?
To be honest with you, if you find that person, you send them over here.
Right over to us
But
immediately.
At the end of the day, if somebody chooses concrete to start with, it's a little bit rough, but at the end of the day, they need to come in, ask questions, but not too many questions, right? You're new. You're not going to learn it all today. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to look at the drawings. You don't listen to the person right beside you that you're working with, that whoever's in charge, it's like, hey, you work alongside them and just try to keep that person happy. If that person's happy, then they're going to be like, oh, he wasn't too bad. I worked with him today. He's all right. Chances are in the next few days, you're going to have an experience with somebody else. And if you can slowly win people over with effort versus knowledge, I think that's the beginning of the road. Genuine effort.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
And the-
kiss
and-
ass effort, right?
And usually what they discover is that 21-year-old full of piss and vinegar that thinks they're going to have a pickup truck by the end of the week suddenly realizes
What
that...
is with this pickup truck by the end of the week?
Let me finish. They suddenly realize as they're put beside that 60-year-old that they're thinking, who's this old guy? And they very quickly realize that not only can that old guy do more work in 30 minutes than they can do all day, but that old guy could probably take down in a fight and crush 7 of his friends with him, not even break a sweat.
I agree with you.
These are the toughest guys you've ever seen
Yes.
ever. And you would never, but they're the nicest guys ever, right? But they've got to be able to, if they have the right attitude and they're willing to like push and work and help them and learn, boy, everyone's there to help them, right? That's how you learn.
But it's being like, is it fair to say that concrete, the trade, it's a team? Like it's the meaning of team.
120%.
Yeah.
It's not an individual. There's no way
Nothing.
you can pull it off all by yourself.
No.
A 1 or 2 man crew at some point in the process
What,
of
like a
doing a
shed
foundation.
foundation or
Okay,
something
yeah, but
like
that's
that.
what I'm saying. A substantial, hey, an ICF house, a traditional house, doesn't matter. 2 guys will build that. The pour is going to be a little bit different, right? Like,
Yeah.
No,
bring it
that's
up,
why
bring it up,
I
babe.
kind of said it like I was tiptoeing into that point, because it's like, okay, guaranteed there's somebody that's poured a foundation by themselves.
Speak up.
So I'm a lone wolf.
Yes.
I worked on my own for the last 3 years, and I mean, what was that one house? 2,600 square feet. Yeah, I poured that by myself.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's
awesome.
wild.
Jeez.
That speaks volumes to the
How did you feel at the end of that
experience.
day?
Listen,
I
Adrian,
feel
do you
that
need a job, dude? Like, we will pay you so well. You have no idea. Jesus. No, like that is like next level right there. Like what Adrian just said out loud is something that I think most guys would be like, holy fuck.
That's the test.
It was
Jesus.
86 meters.
That's where you guys will
86
stand there and go, he's the chosen
86
one.
meters, and I poured that in 2.5 hours, finished, straightened, packed up, off to the next one.
Wow.
And that's few and far between.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
yeah. Like there's,
you're not going to find another unicorn like me.
I was
Like,
just gonna say, unicorn status, exactly.
So, Adam, you go to a lot of job sites and you talk to a lot of GCs and you speak to a lot of homeowners and you're seeing a lot of different job sites. What is the cross section, like selection of trades, the young trades out there? What are they like? At IsoMatrixx, they pride themselves on the energy efficiency and eco-friendly statistics of the products they carry. These qualities benefit not only the homeowner with energy savings, but also the installing contractor, saving time with less need for expensive tools such as boom trucks and forms. ICF allows contractors to complete multiple stages of a build with ease, eliminating excess time, consuming steps, and associated costs from each job. ICF is also cost competitive with traditional building methods, and its insulation properties mean that contractors continue to build more efficiently year-round, with far less hassle and temporary insulating. IsoMatrixx offers free training courses for any contractors looking to become more familiar with ICF and offers ongoing on-site and over-the-phone support. Check out IsoMatrixx with 2 X's at isomatrixx.ca and on IG at IsoMatrixx ICF, and also get in touch with them at isomatrixx.office@gmail.com.
I've actually not seen too many young guys.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
They're being
mostly
weed
older,
out?
like
Really?
35 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's young, man.
If we don't have a ton of immigration, and I'm talking immigration or people who are coming from wherever they're coming from that actually want to go into the trades, not become dentists and doctors.
Yeah.
If we don't have that, Canada's screwed.
But nobody's
North
getting
of-
into your trade. Nobody's getting
Right.
into masonry, block, concrete,
Yeah.
roofing.
Yeah.
They're not getting into the hard ones. Stone, like they're
And
not.
the only way that's going to happen is for the folks that are coming from other countries.
Well,
that
UK,
have that,
Ireland,
and
Scotland,
and they've got
Middle
the
East.
skills already, and they're like, "Yeah, count me in, man. Let's go."
Farmers, yeah, those are the guys that we need. The guys and girls. Those are the
Because
ones that understand it.
in Europe, depending on the country they're coming from, there's a lot of very skilled masonry folks, like that work with concrete and stone and all the rest of the stuff. They're there, and a lot of them probably wouldn't mind coming to Canada. The problem is, not a lot, I think, are to be entering into the trades, and there's a huge shortage. There's a massive shortage of people.
That's always going to be a constant. And I mean, like, okay, so we did talk about 5 years, right? Like I said, you guys, we all kind of agreed that was like a 5 year before you're ready.
Yeah.
You're ready, right? But I know that I've also spoken to a bunch of other people on the show where they've said it's like 7 to 10 years before you actually have a skilled tradesperson.
We could call
behind
it trained versus expert. You know what I mean? Like it takes more time to, I think any of us could agree that we're all learning still.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's
Every
a new
learning,
job.
there's
There's a
something-
new, oh man, we
There's
haven't done
always
this
something.
before. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
always.
Exactly.
But then that's where your problem solving comes in,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
right?
Based on experience, right? But like you were saying, that 5 years starts to give you enough tools to problem solve. It's like, oh, okay, this is outside of the box, but if I use this and that, we can make it happen, right?
Yeah.
I want to get a little scientific here with the ICF. I want to talk about, so obviously there's the insulation factors, right? So there's benefits there because if you do traditional forming foundation, you've got to apply that foam now to meet our building code standards, right? What they're asking for. And it's only, like you said, George, earlier, it's only going to exceed. They're going to constantly be asking for more insulation. There's the building code is slowly here in Canada adopting the fact of the European way of building where you put all the insulation on the outside of the dwelling, not so much on the inside of the dwelling. That's been done in Europe for how long now? And now we're finally doing it here. So it has the insulation properties, but there's also sound properties, right? There's
Yeah,
also
big.
like, what other properties are there? Like, what are we talking about? Do you guys know offhand? Like, would you know what, Adam? Like, sound. What are you doing? Reducing the decibel level or something like that?
Yeah,
Or-
you are. I don't know the exact amount of it, but yeah, it's a huge difference.
It becomes like a bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dampens
You
the
know,
sound.
like
this and
if
that.
like if you build a home, an ICF home, right to the all the way up, right to the top.
Yeah.
You could pretty much have traffic bombing up and down like Lawrence Avenue or something in front of you. Now anybody listening who doesn't live in Toronto would have no clue what I'm talking about. But like active, noisy traffic.
But anyone building
And
traditional,
so long as
will
you've
know.
got, if
Oh,
you've
yeah,
got
big
quality
time.
windows and the place is kind of sealed up right, it's incredible how quiet the building is. Like it's strangely quiet, which is great because it's basically a bunker, right? It's a bunker. Like go ahead,
I go back to
throw a hurricane at it. Like come
castles.
on, like just
castles,
Jeez.
like
Built
thicker
out of
walls
Oh,
made
yeah.
stronger structures.
Oh yeah, yeah. And one thing that just kills me is when people are like, oh, this is bad for the environment and foam. I stand there and go, are you kidding me? Like, are you joking me? Let's start with the fact you drive a vehicle that just uses so much fuel, it's insane. This house built, if you build a home properly, and this is why I hate a lot of production houses, just throw them up. They have a very short lifespan. You build a quality house out of ICF, the lifespan of that thing is huge.
It's
It's going to
generational.
be, it's generational.
Yeah.
So when folks are going on about, oh, well, the environment, this, it's like, come on, man, that's going to be there for how long? That house across the street that wasn't built that way, and all these houses over here in the subdivision over there, it won't be like 50, 60 years. They're all going to get knocked down and start over. They start falling apart 5 years in.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
built like trash. You
What
build an
about-
ICF, and it's literally like a bunker. It's unbelievable, the quality.
Like, what's the percentage wise versus doing it your way, Ryan, versus doing it the ICF way, right? Like, what are
Locally, like let's say the GTA,
we? Yeah,
I think that
it's
the
what,
traditional side.
10% increase in cost.
Oh, you're saying cost
It
increase.
depends. Cost-wise, it depends. Well, it'd be interesting to hear what Adrian has to say because we're a foundation company. He's building.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
what's
he
the
probably
number?
has better numbers than we do.
What do you?
I think the last one was like 3.5%.
Just 3.5% really increased?
Yeah, but we're doing all like suspended slab, everything, like next to no lumber in the house.
Yeah.
So based on current lumber prices right now, and then I guess also skilled trades prices as well for the framing and everything.
Yeah.
So that's not crazy.
So what I tell folks is, depending on what you're doing, you're having a conversation on the phone with someone that just for the first time, and everyone asks this question, and I always say to folks, let's call it depending on what you're building because we haven't seen your drawings, right? We don't know what you're actually building. You may be looking at 10%, maybe 15% on the far end, depending if you're building something really complex or whatever. I don't know. It depends on what you're throwing on the table. But then the efficiency that comes from the building, the energy savings,
That's the other side.
that starts to
first
make it
3
up in no
years.
time,
Yeah.
right?
So people, but most homeowners, and I don't think architects, and I definitely don't think designers, and I'm not picking on them, but those aren't fancy numbers to them. Long-term energy efficiency
No.
savings numbers.
No.
Those numbers do not look as pretty as red knobs on your stove.
Correct.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm just saying, right? So it's like, how do you guys sell those numbers to clients? How do you still got to fight that battle too, Ryan?
Well, I mean, I think that it's not a sellable thing. I think ICF clients have done that math themselves. They've already come
They
to
know
the
what they're
table
doing.
with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's very rare where you're just throwing a dart. It's like, hey, what about ICF? And they're like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, I was looking at ICF for this reason or that reason, and then you can educate them on those points, right? Versus
They're a different breed from a traditional homeowner.
Yeah.
They tend to care.
They're educated.
They're educated. Tend to care
Well,
more.
properly educated, because there's a lot of
Yes.
construction noise out there.
Yeah, they tend to have they've done the homework, they've done all that research and stuff. They understand the benefits of it. You almost like they're practically educating you. Some of them, they have done the math. Then you get some folks that will say, well, hang on a second. The foundation, if I do this traditionally, is $74,000 traditionally. Why is it $92,000 if I do it in ICF? And I just kind of in my head, I'm going, my God. It's like,
apples to apples.
come on,
right?
man.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about just like a core of concrete. And now instead we're talking about something that's actually like encased with foam around it and the whole bit insulated.
The easy sell.
You-
It's like
you need to
price
subtract-
out your
you need to
price out the
subtract all that
insulation
out.
for either side of the wall.
And if you're
So-
going into winter and you tell people like, you know what your propane costs are to keep that place heated in the winter and the whole bit, and your cost for your tarps to cover everything up, and you add all that stuff up, and suddenly ICF is cheaper. right? It's actually cheaper.
I mean,
the folks that do the math, it's a no-brainer.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I know it's for a fact, and I'm slowly doing my own place. And I know that I had another friend of mine. He did a rental property, and he went right off the bat with electric dryer, and I went with a gas dryer. And he goes, "Why are you spending money on the gas dryer? Gas dryer is more money when you purchase the unit, and it costs on average $350 to run a gas line. But when I show him my $14 gas bill in the summer months."
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I look at the long-term effects of consumption of power. We're only consuming more. First of all, North America is a hugely consuming country. It's a continent, right?
I think the most in the world. Don't we?
It's the most in the world.
Yeah, we want what we want. It's all, I don't care. Yeah.
Europe and Asia and other parts, they're very conscious of how to build.
It's been driven by cheap energy. Our energy has been dirt forever. I mean,
but it's getting expensive.
Portuguese heritage through my parents. I was born in Canada, but I used to be able to travel to Europe, and I've done a fair amount of traveling through Europe. And even as a child, I recognize it's like, all the cars here are tiny. But as soon as I could figure it, it's like, wow, gasoline is twice as much as it is at home. And, you know, I've been in homes in England, like in London, folks that have no lack of dough, they don't heat the whole house. They heat each room they're in. When you're not in the bedroom, no, the heat's off over there.
But the home is built a certain way that it retains heat.
Some are, some aren't. But they're very conscious of, hey, man, energy is like, it's bad for the environment to be burning all this stuff, and it's unbelievably expensive. When it hits their pocketbook, people tend to pay attention. We've been able to be so wasteful because the stuff is basically free for us.
But these are the lessons that are being learned now with ICF, right? When you go in, I guess the homeowners or even just tradespeople in general, have to walk into a home that's properly built that way to experience it.
You notice that difference.
You notice it right off the bat.
The door,
Like, have you not all, and I, like, production homes are bad. Like, I think I've shared this on the show where my brother bought a production home and he was like, "Can you come by and do the walkthrough with me?" I'm like, "You don't want me to come by and do the walkthrough with you? What's wrong with you?"
It's like, just tear it down and start over. Like, I hate to say it out loud, but it's true.
The running joke was the guy already had a Post-it note pad, right? An hour into the walkthrough, I said, "You're going to need another pad."
Yeah.
Like, he was putting Post-it notes everywhere of deficiencies, and then you're walking and you're having the deflection, and I'm like, this is garbage.
No shut-off valves under sinks.
Nothing.
There isn't a single piece of rebar in the foundation.
Yeah.
No rebar in any of those foundations.
It depends. It depends. You can't say none.
Well,
but yeah, for the most part,
there may be,
it's
depending
minimal.
on the
It's
house, there may be
very
some
minimal.
above the windows and a little bit odd, but not like typically when you're building custom, that's not the case. There's no such thing as a custom home that doesn't have rebar in the foundation.
Absolutely.
We've never done one.
So guys, walk us through installing ICF. From this, okay, so you guys have your footing.
Well, Manny, it's basically Lego. Anybody can do
Anybody
it.
can-
Anybody can do it, man. You can become an ICF contractor tomorrow, and you'll make millions.
Listen, I'm not taking apart my Star Wars
We'll get you
Millennium
a card.
Falcon. No, I'm not doing that. But I mean, like, literally, you've got your footings down, right? The footing's down. Where do you begin?
Corners
Corners.
Yep.
Where do you go from the corners?
into the middle.
That's it. So you build the corner, right, left, whatever,
Yep.
and then you work your way down to both sides to the next corner, and keep on going that way.
Yeah, you've stacked your lines. You don't want to have, if you try to avoid stacked joints, obviously, because the more of those you have to reinforce the sonata to them before you pour, and la 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 la. But yeah, I mean, it's actually not super difficult to install. It just isn't. You still got to know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
It's easy for a
Right?
skilled tradesperson.
Are you guys putting track down too, or no?
We do
Starter
track.
track.
Yeah, we do starter track. Right, snap all the
So
lines.
what's a starter track?
So
I'm just trying to figure out if I got a painter that wants to get into.
It's a metal.
You
it's
see
a
what's
metal-
happening here, Manny? All these processes, like we're already done one wall, and there's no starter track.
Well, my next question to you is
Yeah.
okay, where do you start traditionally now?
Well, once we got our lines down, we're erecting panels,
Okay.
full height. So you're moving, all right? Yeah, I think the initial assembly might be faster
On the traditional.
on the traditional. Again, it depends
is
the details that
absolutely
you're
faster.
building.
We build very complex foundations, so they take a long time.
I've seen some stuff recently
But-
that you guys have
but
done.
they're quick.
Can they be done in ICF too? Because they weren't done. There was some archways, some insane kind of things.
Yeah, I don't know if
no,
you'd be doing that.
No, there are limits.
I'm sure
you
there's-
can do
hey,
a lot with ICF, but
Never say never, right?
yeah.
Someone will figure
Somebody
it out.
will figure it out.
But do you, Adam, you see that? You see like it's not just traditional box foundation forming.
No. But it's actually kind of what we're seeing is it going back to that. Like the 45s are kind of starting to die off and stuff now. Like it's going more to a rectangle is what we're seeing.
I noticed that myself in a lot of when we get a set of drawings that's ICF. I feel like it's simplified compared to the traditional.
Yeah.
Traditional, you get all these weird areas where it's like, oh yeah, just fill all that up with concrete. It's like you get these big blobs that don't necessarily fit inside of an ICF block. And again, there's lots of ways to do this. I'm not saying you can't do it out of ICF. It's when it's designed ICF, it's designed to suit ICF. Exactly what it means.
Are you guys concrete? Like, do you guys like concrete block foundation? Bless you. Bless you.
I thought that sneeze was
an indication.
Yes. There are applications where, like we get folks sometimes calling for additions, as an example. They need some basic frost walls, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's designed and poured concrete. First thing I say is why? They're frost walls for a small addition. 4 feet in the ground, do block. And they're like, how come? I don't know, half the money. Let's start with that. It's all sandwiched on both sides.
It would be
barged,
the cheapest, probably the cheapest way to get a foundation in the ground would be block.
Yeah.
But, there's like the difference we're talking about, there are advantages to block and there's also disadvantages, right?
So any good tradesperson that's running a business, you're looking at the options across the board, right?
You try to, but we often get drawings and it's like the ship has sailed. So to Ryan's point about sometimes these foundations are a bit kind of insane that we get, like in terms of, why is this over here like that? Well, they tend to design the home, first floor, second floor, and then they slam the basement underneath it. Then they do the basement walls and everything. So now it's like,
they build the structure below the design.
So now we got to drop everything underneath to hold all the crazy shit we put up on the upstairs. So you end up with a bit of chaos there. But simplifying, they're really good at this in the U.S. They're very good, even with like really nice custom homes, often just simplifying a lot of the design in such a way to make it easier to build. We get some stuff, it's like, holy, this is going to take, like, look at the complexity in this. Like, does this really need to be this insane? It's good. We look at stuff and often say, there's a better way to do this. It's not often designed that way. Often the clients have no clue how much extra they're spending because of the way it's been designed and engineered. And often, to be honest, I don't even think they really care. They care, but they don't. They've got a dream. They want it. It's been designed.
Would you guys speak up? Like, would you kind of...
Where
poor design, you're saying? Or?
Not poor design, that it was maybe over-designed.
Well, we're often brought in. We're often brought in advance to have conversations.
So you're part of that process.
We try to be as much as we can. So the builders that we have, and this is like a shout-out, for example, to WPML and a bunch of other ones, we have more of an interactive relationship with them, whereby they ask questions and this and that, and we will come to the table and say, hey, how about this? How about that? We found this problem here. We want to debug everything to death before we even show up.
Well, that's my mindset. Why not ask boots on the ground?
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes sense, right?
Like, once everything's rocking and rolling, it's like not the right time to go, oh, yeah, let me just change this over here. It's like, you want to build the thing. So we try to debug it.
I was going with the concrete block thing because it just seems like ICF is a natural step to modular building.
Yeah.
A connecting point. And we know that modular building is gaining a lot of traction right now. And of course, something else that came from Europe and is making its way over to North America now. So I could just see that being the next step. And you guys see that? Like, you'll create an ICF foundation and you'll throw on a modular structure on top of that and grow from there and there and there. Is that like, do you
I think there's a lot of people already doing that.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of that going on.
I've done it.
You've done it, yeah?
I've built 4 foundations for Royal Homes.
Wow. Are you guys seeing that as well as the company? Are you guys trying to make the connection between your product and modular building, or not yet?
I'm not seeing a lot of it from our end, but most of what we do is full houses, right? We're supplying for that kind of.
And I think there's still, like, don't get me wrong, there's some builders that are doing this modular stuff in-house. But if you're not doing, like, I don't want to say a mini home, but like a smaller structure that can be put there at one time, the people that
sorry, I interrupted you.
No, where I was going with that is that as it gains traction, all this modular building, just like ICF and concrete, there's people, it's like, oh yeah, we build wall sections for you. We'll build you a modular house. And it's like, is that a good, there's good and there's bad.
That's got to be one of my biggest gripes in construction is that I find
It's like, this is a great idea.
Yeah,
and then you get one idiot that ruins it
too
for
easy.
everybody.
It's too easy to market a bad idea to the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just, there's that funny joke about Apple. Remember Apple had the desktop that had the telescopic head on it? And they did a commercial.
Oh, yeah,
where someone walked by the storefront and the actual monitor head followed the person, then came back and came back. And then everyone thought it was cute, but then Apple had to explain to everybody that my computer monitor wouldn't follow me while I was walking around the house.
Yeah.
It's like, I find with construction, it's too easy to market something bad. Do you guys agree with that? Like, do you guys see?
It is.
Yeah,
the marketing machine these days.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's so many people offering the best building envelope or the best product or best this, best that, whatever, right? It's just like, it's not, but it's just being marketed properly.
The internet, man.
Yeah.
The internet.
And one of the challenges, of course, is that you've, at the end of the day, it really boils down to the men and women who are actually assembling building
Boots on the
things,
ground,
right?
yeah.
So if you've got good installers, if you got good tradespeople building stuff, you're gonna get the quality. So the modular thing to me, I think, is just to a certain extent a big chunk of the future. The same way AI is coming down, on us like there's no tomorrow. Simply because if you have a shortage of tradespeople, right? I've got 20 carpenters with hand saws, and all of a sudden somebody shows up with a cordless skill saw. Some of those
19
carpenters,
guys are out. Yeah.
right. So because all of a sudden this one guy can kind of crush you with the tools. Well, guess what? We do this at DGR all the time. We can't get people. We want to hire everybody who's good that we possibly can get our hands on, but we can't get them. So every piece of technology, everything we can get our hands on to be able to produce more quality work without a human being, we're investing like crazy in it because we can't get the human beings. So modular construction, it's been going on for a long time. It's getting better and better and better. Like transportation was a big problem with it because everything was so big.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got guys that are like, putting together modular homes that can be pulled by basically a dually down the road. It doesn't need a giant transport truck. So the transportation costs are falling out of the sky. So a lot more of that is going to start to happen.
So if you're not paying attention to those innovative ideas, then your business is going to be left out to try, right?
Eventually.
I mean, the same way we were, and again, this is a big part of my job at DGR is to be thinking about like, well, the guys are out crushing it out in the field and all that kind of stuff. The biggest part of my job is to be thinking about like, what's next? Before anybody else has to think about it, I'm supposed to solve the problem and come up with a solution. So you have to always be thinking ahead of what's coming. You got to try and do that as a business owner, because if you don't, all of a sudden you're caught with your, it's like all the guys are like, yeah, man, concrete traditional.
But their head has already got 1,000 things in their head right now. They're like, now I got to think about that. Now I got to think about this.
Yeah.
How do you juggle? And that's why I go back to the 5 to 7 years, how you won't learn everything in the first year. You're not on dog years of construction.
100%.
So you need to experience all these years first and then get that experience. And then you can problem solve because your mind is basically just full.
Yeah.
And you haven't even organized it yet.
Well, we're able to do what we do at DGR because when the company was originally a concrete company, and then we sort of retooled everything when I came on board and kind of changed everything. And the whole idea was to just reimagine what a concrete company was. We're not going to do what everybody else is doing. We're going to not reinvent the wheel, but we're going to look from above and pick out all the best bits and pieces and how are we going to become the best at what we do. And that's what we did from day one. Hurt like hell for the first 3 years, I got to tell you. But the point was, by doing that and planning it that way, we had enough experience. We refer to it as swim lanes. We've got all kinds of people that fall into their own swim lane. This is their job. They need to think about, etc. You kind of need that because trying to wear all the hats, we've all done it.
I know
none
George,
of us started out like, on a team right away. Right. You got to do it. It's really hard. And
that goes back to Adrian's point. Like, you're a lone wolf, right? And I know that, George, you and I, we've had our conversations about certain people that are, I guess, out in the industry or on social media that they're lone wolves. They're one-man concrete shops. And it's like, do you see it, Adrian, as a fault? Or, like, do you see it as a... Is it a pro or con?
It's a good question, actually, because there's a lot of pros to what he's doing.
Yes.
Because he gets the ability to just have to worry about himself and what he's doing, and the decisions he's making and the conversations he's having are strictly with him.
What are your thoughts, man?
I agree with you, George.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, fucking sucks.
It's hard, eh?
Okay.
It's hard. It's nonstop. It's 24/7. Like it's nonstop.
It's go, go, go.
How many
all
people in the
fucking
crew
time.
right now at DGR? Because you're a lone wolf, but how many people on DGRs?
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. What are we at?
20 people, 25.
Yeah, around there.
1 versus 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, but
I don't know if any of the 25 could pour an 80-meter house by themselves.
We don't have
I was going to
anybody.
say that. Yeah. Hey, if anybody from the company hears that, I know the ones that can. Trust me.
but it's a we know lots of people. We all do know lots of people who are really, really good at what they do. And the piece that I would caution everybody about, Adrian, you included, is that you have to think, well, what happens if I get injured?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is such a concern.
Yes.
So when you're like the guy in charge of everything, doing everything, you have to always think, well, okay, hey, what's my exit strategy? How long am I going to be doing this for? How long can I do this for? And then the other
Perishable
one
trade,
is,
man.
am I building a company that's going to be saleable or not? Usually, if you're like a lone wolf, I think it's not. You're the business, right?
Yeah.
And then the other piece of it that's really tough is if you're doing it on your own, you have to be thinking, if I get hurt, what would happen? If you ask yourself that question, and if everybody out there who's listening to this podcast asks themselves the question, it's like, well, if I didn't go to work, everything would shut down. You need to immediately stop and start thinking about, okay, I need to get proper insurance in case I get hurt. Like, start to figure out some stuff to help fill those gaps in case something happens. Adrian could leave here and slip on the floor on the way out, a cup of water, and you know, everybody knock on wood, right? But you see, that's kind of, it's tough. But guess to create what we've done, man, that was like pulling teeth and a shit ton of money and unbelievable risk. And even today, it's still a lot of risk when you got all these people running around everywhere and everything. But
you guys
the
looked
risk
at the
is
industry
huge.
as a group. You guys looked at the industry, and you guys looked at what was good, what was bad, what needed to be improved.
Yeah.
And then you just threw as many ideas at it.
Yeah. What helped a bit was that because these guys did concrete for me before, and I was just building, right? Like, I wasn't a concrete guy before. So when I came in and we joined forces to kind of, pull this together, what was great was that I was able to look at it through a different lens.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the middle of it all on your own, you don't necessarily see all the things that maybe need improvement. You're just like so busy just trying to get it done that you don't realize it's like, this thing's a piece of shit. I should buy this other thing from Hilti or Bosch or whatever that's way better. Why do I keep using this thing? Like, but you're so busy just trying to get to the next job site, you don't have even time to go do the research on replacing this thing.
That's where I go back to your head's full of questions.
Right. It's just, so it's really, really hard to do, but it's really hard as well. It takes an incredible amount of work to be in a partnership as well. A lot of them go south because people can't put the effort into it. But we managed
that's like a marriage. You have to find the right partner, right?
Yeah.
So
for us, we came at it from, what does the builder want? So one of the things that I said right at the beginning was, we have to make sure that our builders, the people that we're working for, look like absolute rock stars to their client. No ifs, ands, or buts. The clients have to go, hey, man, Adrian, I don't know what you did, but holy shit, this is amazing. How did this all happen so well, so quickly, on time, on budget, on everything? And it's like, man, they were in, they were out. It was beautiful. It's clean. It's neat. It's tidy. Nobody could kick the dog next door or scream to Karen across the street. How did this happen? Well, if the builder looks like gold, we've done our job. That's big.
So I still need to go back to, there's a bunch of questions you guys just refuse to answer, man. We haven't even finished the install of ICF, with the professional install of ICF, right? Like, you guys got me corners in the middle, and that was the extent of it. No, where does it go from there now?
Corners, middle, 2 courses up, and then laser it.
And that's it.
No,
that's easy. Homeowners can do it.
Yeah.
No. Let's not forget.
Where's the rebar? Where's the webbing?
Rebar in
okay,
every course.
all right. So there we go.
Okay, depending on if it's backfilled one side or if it's frost walls backfilled both sides, that's going to dictate where your rebar is situated.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's all specified by the engineers.
Yeah.
We're all installers, not specifiers. So whatever it says on the piece of paper is what we have to do.
Good point.
A lot of people make that mistake.
So at this time, Ryan, you're already pouring?
No, definitely not. And that's kind of the misconception. And even I have to go out of my way to explain it to clients sometimes. It's like, listen, the next 2 days, it's going to look like we're ready to pour. But there's still another week of work to put in all the fine details, right? So us typically on the traditional side, the houses we're doing with a lot of rebar, you're erecting only one side of the form. bracing it, install your windows, install, you know, essentially you're building one side of the foundation, but now you can do your rebar to suit all of this dimension. And once you close the other side, you're getting real close.
You're not there.
Yeah.
I can't tell every trade secret right now.
No. But then with ICF, you're ready to pour.
Gotcha.
The rebar's in there. You're ready to pour. You're not ready to pour.
No.
What's missing now?
Your other 8 courses, 9 courses,
Windows,
door
windows,
box.
door box, string lines.
A little bit of framing if you need it. If there's anything funky.
Yeah. Bracing.
Bracing.
Strapping.
Strapping.
Ledger board system, if you're going higher with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Cut down
to
for
it.
suspended slab if you're doing
Yeah.
it that way. Extra rebar for suspended slab. Are you square? Are you cut? Are you all level at the top?
Are you getting
Do you have
ahead
to
of
rim it?
other trades? You getting ahead of electrical or HVAC? You preparing certain things for them? Shit like that?
Oh, you know, like I give them the option. You know, this is my pour date. If you guys want to come in and put your service pipes in, then by all means go for it. But
Save them the core?
I'm not going to be the one that does it for you because I don't want to fuck that location up.
Exactly. You're not an electrician. You're not a plumber.
I'm
right?
not
So-
a plumber. All I know is shit flows downhill and electricity hurts. Okay, that's it.
That's the important thing to know, to be honest
Right?
with you.
Don't lick the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they show up, they show up. If they don't, well, you know, they're gonna core a fucking hole. I don't care.
Yeah.
But also, once you're poured, you're done. You're stripping bracing, where you're stripping all your forms.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Snapping ties.
110%. So
Do you guys in the back
Now,
of your head?
now, hang on a second. And on that note, our boys can blow out of the equivalent foundation doing traditional way faster than ICF.
Really?
big team.
Yeah.
So team is a part of it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was 100%.
There's more there's more to it than that. You got to remember, we have to take all of the bracing apart, get it all back in the crates. Now, we cheat a little bit. No, it's not cheating. We just figured out a long time ago that having a boom, having our own boom is gold, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to these guys doing the strip, Ryan is like, "Meow," he's there, boom, we're using the boom to help with the strip. So the guys are just flying, right?
Cheating.
In ICF, we cheat a little bit too, where a lot of guys have to drag all their braces down off the bank and the whole bit and all the blah, blah, blah.
It ain't cheating if you're winning.
Well, we with the boom, we just everything goes into the middle. The boys aren't dragging everything
Smart.
off or whatever, and then we
That's
just
smart.
pull everything out, goes on the deck, and goes back to the next job or to the yard. So, but that's because we have it for the traditional side. But I would say there is not this massive disparity in that ICF is like so much faster or slower. So, folks that are thinking, "Oh, ICF, you're just done with ICF," no, you're not. There's still a fair amount to do, a lot of labor, to unscrew everything, take it all apart, put it all away, clean everything up.
Waterproofing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Waterproofing. Once you get that done, it's like, okay, what kind of waterproofing products? What are you going to do?
Well, you got to go back to specifications now.
Absolutely.
You cannot just slap on whatever waterproofing you think you want to use.
So on the traditional side, we're patching our tie holes.
Of course.
So on the ICF side, what would be your side? If you're not
You're
the
priming,
waterproofer,
right?
It's got to be, so you don't have to prime it, but clean. Has to be super, super clean for the peel and stick membrane. But there's a lot of people doing spraying now for it too.
Adrian wants
No
to say
peel
something.
and
Adrian
stick.
wants to say something.
Fuck the peel and stick. I'm sorry.
on, buddy.
People are getting
But-
into spraying now.
Peel and
You
stuck is
fucking
shit.
call it
Yeah,
advanced
I agree.
coating.
Peel
They
and
come
stuck,
in, they
as you said?
spray it,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
done.
fucking walk away.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys out there that you can call who are really good at this, who have products that are water based, et cetera, et cetera. They come and they spray the whole thing, do the protection board, do all that fun stuff, whatever's specified, and you get a bulletproof foundation. Like, we do not do waterproofing in house, like under our contract.
You
nothing.
found a lane of a person.
Right. We refer them and go, hey, if you want, you can use this guy, get all the prices you want. They do a great job. We use them all the time. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One is you put it under your contract. This goes back to running a business. Oh, man, like I can resell the service and I can make $800. Okay, great. Let me know how that works out when they call you in 3 years. And it turns out that
Their
something
entire
detonated.
$1 million
and-
backyard landscaping needs to get torn up
and,
to
and
waterproof.
there are 3 lawyers, because this guy happens to be a giant banker in downtown Toronto, are about to just bankrupt you, and you made $800. How does that feel? So we just stay away from, if it's not our swim lane, we're out. Like
Yep.
we have to be able to add value somehow, some way. and not just like, oh, ring $100, put it under a contract. The risk's too high. Park that with the people who just do waterproofing is our opinion on that one. Doesn't make sense for us to be accepting that liability.
So now we've waterproofed the ICF,
Yeah.
right? Now, is it a different ball game if you're ICFing all the way to the roof line?
No.
No.
Still the same, right?
So
Yeah.
to waterproof it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like your below grade stuff,
Yeah.
you're waterproofing everything, and then up above there, you're doing your traditional whatever you're doing, rain screen, blah blah blah, depending on what your exterior finishes are.
Have you, Adrian? Have you ever done a roof? Have you gone as far as
That's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
You can do an ICF roof.
Yeah.
can't you?
Yeah.
Have you done one yet?
No.
We haven't either.
I've done the Insuldeck though.
Yeah. Yeah. Insuldeck is
I've
pretty
done-
common.
What's the Insuldeck?
It's
It's an
suspended
ICF
slab.
system. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
But
was
yeah,
the span on that?
It's it all depends what what
What's
your live
specified.
loads are. Your
What? Sorry.
What's specified? yeah. No, but it's true. Everything these
You
days
guys
is
know how to
engineered.
read real well, eh?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be able to read. That's a
You have
prerequisite.
again, going back to the whole running a business thing, right? I had an engineer many years ago, great man, David Cathro, older gentleman, I think he's retired. And I remember him saying to me, George, if it says 4 nails, you put in 4 nails, even if you think 5 is better. And I'm like, why? He goes, because a lawyer, his exact words, a lawyer will rape your ass and tell you that you're at fault
Because you
because you
didn't
put a
follow.
5th nail in there and you didn't follow it and you're not an engineer and we believe that it failed because of that nail. Now, suddenly I have to defend myself at a horrendous cost and bring expert engineers on and everything else on my side to demonstrate and prove that in fact that 5th nail did not contribute. Bottom line is you get pulled in. So if it says 15 of whatever, you put in 15 whatever and you're done because we're not paid to do the math. We're paid to install. It's risky.
That's a good point.
Everything is fine till lawyers get involved. The lawyers get involved, everything just goes out the window.
I was going to ask you guys before, so we were kind of finished the ICF wall.
Yep.
In the back of your head, are you still thinking there might be a void, but you're not exactly sure? Are you confident because you did it the way you're supposed to be doing it, that it's done? There's no voids, there's no nothing.
I mean,
it's
a guy who knows how to pour, full
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, I'm not an expert ICF guy, but like you say, pouring concrete, it's not ideal, but you're looking in the wall. You can see the way the concrete's flowing.
Yeah.
You can see where it's going. You can tell if it gets under a window completely or not under a window or the buck outs. You get, for the most part, you have a good idea how well you did prior to. For us on the traditional side, it's taking off the form. So if it's not looking good, you're gonna know. So you learn to make sure you don't run into those errors, right?
So I want to ask, what are the limitations to ICF? Are there any limitations? I know that you mentioned there was something that you mentioned about the limitations. I guess
I'd like to also
the blind
those
spot.
arches. But again, I even said I'm sure there's somebody who can figure that out.
Right. There's limitations to everything.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I've done electrical windows that were like 10 feet from side to side out of ICF.
Really? Eh?
How'd you do those?
Very carefully. So 3 layers of 1/4-inch ply. Took my template, built it on the ground out of 2x2, and then I stuck it up there and then clotted it over in 3/4-inch ply, and then braced the fuck out of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right? Like
There's a will, there's a way. And a
absolutely.
big part of it, again, this is this experience thing. It's like when the old guys say, we need a little, a guy with experience says, we need a little something in that corner. The young guy will go, that looks fine. And the old guy will slap him and say, go put something in that fucking corner.
Yeah.
Because,
He's seen it before.
because he's seen it before and he
one little
knows.
piece of wood makes a difference.
It's sort of
yeah.
like if you get that little tingling in your stomach, a little uneasiness, you go and you do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that often is the difference, actually. At the very beginning, I started saying between the guys who are experienced or not, and that guys at the lowest price. There's guys out there who are inexperienced who don't understand why it is important to go a little further with the bracing, to go a little further with all this, to make sure everything is perfect. To save money, most of them are renting braces. We own all of our own braces. Because we own our own braces, it doesn't matter if they sit on the job site for 4 months. There's no rental cost.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some guys who aren't experienced and price it down into the ground are so worried about the rental cost, and they should be because they're going to lose money if they don't get it done, right? They're paying by the day, by the week typically. They okay, instead of putting braces maybe a particular wall requires every 4 feet, they might go 6, they might go wider, right? They'll find ways to make it go faster, quicker. They'll take more risks. The problem
So-
is when the shit hits the fan, it really hits the fan.
So I'm going to just go against that a little bit.
Yep.
Please.
Because, well, we actually rent per pour, not per week.
nice.
So we have a little bit of a different system. compared
I
to
like
pour.
that.
That's
I
good.
Like that.
No,
because-
that's
because
actually a
like
great
you
way of
said-
doing it, so people don't have to rush.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, if you're taking 3 months on a foundation, there's
Yeah,
something wrong.
I'm sure you guys
Right?
have
That's-
kind of like your limit, your
that's
limit
right.
of time, but that is really a good way of doing it
Right.
because a lot of guys are under a big stress to be like, oh my God, I got to get these things back.
Yeah. And then another thing, like we've got lots of contractors that do, 20 ICF jobs a year that are still renting braces.
Yep.
They don't have to house them, trailer them. They don't have a boom
Maintain
truck.
them.
Well, if
right?
you,
No
I mean,
maintenance.
why
We
do
that.
why do we own them all? We have a boom truck. We
Right.
just stack them like quarter
Right.
week. We can stack
Well, you guys
them.
looked at the numbers of efficiency. You
Right.
running a business. That's all it was.
For us,
right?
it would not make sense to go buy a boom unless you had a really big company doing ICF on purpose just to move your
Braces.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
How did the older concrete trades look at ICF for the first time? Because that's new.
Actually-
There's no way.
That's almost
that
like
this
a-
is going to hold. It's
that-
like no, this isn't even up for debate anymore.
That's like-
it holds.
that's like
but
a-
to them, it's like there's no way, man. I don't even want to be here. I can't be here for the poor, man.
Exactly. It's like a bear in the woods seeing a mirror.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how did they react to that? Like, how did they?
Exactly like I'm
Like,
saying. Yeah.
yeah.
We were fucking posers. That's how.
and to be honest, maybe I have a more level head, but yeah, it was never who's doing what job, right? If there was no traditional forming work, well, I'm going to learn ICF. I'm gonna.
But I wouldn't
adapt,
see the old
right?
guys learning this, man. Like, I think they would just dismiss
Yeah,
it. They're
yeah.
scientists and they're looking at it going, "This no work."
Yeah.
I've had a lot of them
Absolutely.
laugh at me, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I
Oh, hey,
see.
it's styrofoam.
Have they changed their
concrete
tune since
forms.
they first did it?
Oh,
Or are they still?
well, this is just people I've seen. Like, I haven't seen them
Well,
after that. But yeah, they'd laugh at you.
I mean, you have to keep in mind, Manny, the traditional concrete forming guys, right? It's there is a bunch of work that is, brute, heavy work, that kind of thing. They're working in a certain way, right? ICF is more delicate to work with.
Yeah.
So the guys in
Finesse.
traditional have this, I can't explain it. Like you watch the guys that are good, man, like when they're stripping and stuff, and it's like a ballet almost. Them like bing, 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 knocking all the everything coming apart. It's great to watch, but that same kind of sometimes bullish go, 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 go doesn't work in ICF. ICF requires more finesse. It requires more carpentry skills. It requires more of that. So the transition, I think, for the older guys isn't one they would enjoy because you're actually, and we found this, because we do a lot of sort of high-end bigger stuff that requires everyone to slow down. We've had guys that worked on the production side and also did custom that when they retired came over to us. And we literally had to tell them to slow down. It's like, stop, slow down. You're going too fast. What? They're used to a pace that is just psychotic. So suddenly you're asking them to slow.
Yeah, it's
Way the
lunchtime.
fuck
It's
down.
like, hey, we're almost done. What time's concrete? It's like, oh, we're going to pour it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do you mean?
What do you mean tomorrow?
Yeah, why tomorrow? There's enough time today to pour it.
They're
Does
used
the
to
big hand on the watch have a cement truck?
Absolutely.
they're used to
In
they're-
my world, after experience, it's at 7 a.m. the cement truck pulls
Someone
out.
right now is
It's the
going to
only time
design a
pour it.
clock for concrete guys that has a big.
I hope so.
yeah.
I
Well,
hope so.
some,
There's a
some
big
of the,
market
some
out
of
there.
these guys are literally their entire career used to, every third foundation being like, if not every one, the concrete is like starting
That's
to flow.
crazy.
It's starting to flow in that corner, and they're still buttoning
Putting
up the
forms.
foundation. They're still putting forms in at this end.
Yeah, I've seen
Everybody yelling and screaming, hurry the fuck up! Like, just button it up, close it up, the concrete's coming! Everybody's just losing their minds, right?
Speaking of which, money wise, like when people are quoting,
Yeah.
are there extremes there? Are you getting jokers in there that their price is so low that you're looking at this going, how the hell is he actually doing this job for that price?
Yep.
I've seen lots of that.
Yep.
There's a lot of that?
A lot of
I
that.
wonder sometimes, but I think it all comes down to each their own. You want to go work and kill yourself and try to do a good job, or do you want to?
But are they that low because they just threw the dice?
I don't even know how they come up with these numbers.
I think a
don't.
lot of it's inexperience.
That frost wall that I was on, Adam,
Yeah.
in Huntsville, the guy came in and quoted for $12K.
Demand for ICF is growing, but why? What are its benefits? Well, it's energy efficient and eco-friendly. But more than that, it's easy to use and install. ICF can accommodate nearly every shape that can be done with traditional framing and formwork, and it allows the contractor to complete multiple building stages at once, saving both time and money on the installation. But don't just go with any old distributor. With free quotes, training, and on-site and over-the-phone support, IsoMatrixx has your back. They service contractors across Ontario with their Kitchener location and warehouse of its in-stock products. IsoMatrixx team takes the time to get to know contractors, meaning interested contractors and homeowners alike can get connected with their network of installers, designers, and engineers across Ontario. As one of the leading ICF distributors in Ontario, IsoMatrixx can work alongside you all the way, whether the job be residential, commercial, or institutional. Check out IsoMatrixx with 2 X's at isomatrixx.ca and on IG at IsoMatrixx ICF, and also get in touch with them at isomatrixx.office@gmail.com. 12K.
And what was it
12K.
worth? What was it worth?
shit, yeah,
When,
shit it'll be.
I priced it out, it was worth $65,000, but it's not just frost walls. It's 4 feet on one side and 16 feet on the other side.
Right. So he wasn't looking at the job right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think he knew how to read a set of plans.
Yeah. You've also got guys that are, this is another problem in ICF. There's a lot of sort of standardization of sorts in the industry for traditional. But in ICF, you've got some guys that quote just labor. You've got some guys that quote labor and I'll supply the block, or you get the block and I'll supply this. We don't do footings. You frame, blah, 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 blah. It's like, so if you're the person on the other end trying to decipher between everybody, you're looking at the numbers. It's like, what is happening here?
You can't, it's not a fair assessment.
Right. And
It's so hard to put
unless you're
apples beside apples.
And unless
It's
you're
so hard.
savvy enough to really ask the questions, this is the thing. The people that dig, like we find the clients that we get are the ones that do the math dig, they ask all the questions and they dig deep into it and they kind of go, you guys are actually outstanding value for money. It's like, yeah, thank you for doing the math, for adding it all up and figuring it out. Where you've got other people that'll come in, I just need my number to be as little as possible, and I'm going to push off everything I can to the homeowner and make them feel like, no, you just supply all the stuff, you can negotiate the deals. And the homeowner's thinking, oh, great, I'm going to call 3 concrete companies and get the best deal on concrete, while they're paying 220 a meter and we're paying 140.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Shit like that happens all the time. Block is the same thing. We're buying block all the time. Why the hell would you buy the block?
Right.
We're gonna pay less for block. Full stop.
Yeah.
Nothing to talk about. But a lot of guys will, for the sake of not carrying the cost and all that, and looking like they're coming in with a cheap number, and let the homeowner or whoever go figure it out. They quote labor only. And
Does anybody have a conversation about this is the foundation of the structure that's holding up the structure that your family is inside of your children being raised? Nobody has that
It
conversation.
doesn't have red knobs on it,
yeah.
right? It's
Well,
dirt.
that
it's
thing's going to
dirty.
fall too.
I know, but they're not seeing that. All they're seeing is the dirt, the hole, the mess, and it's like,
It's the foundation.
just get this
Go
done.
to Pisa.
and backfill this with dirt so that the professional carpenters can come here and start building
They
my
don't
house.
give a shit because it's all covered up in anyway at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. Like someone will, literally, someone will build a custom home worth, I don't know, $4 or $5 million, and they will literally drop $50, $60, $70, $80,000 on appliances in a heartbeat, without even flinching, right?
Appliances? No, appliance.
Well,
Yeah,
some-
yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
here's your
I was
Sub-Zero
gonna
fridge
say.
for 32K, and you go to them and go, hey, listen, we highly recommend you don't do damp proofing. That's a traditional foundation. Don't do damp proofing, and you should be doing waterproofing. Damp proofing is the minimum building code trash. No one should do damp proofing. Period. It should be waterproof to death. You're building a beautiful home.
The cost is
Well,
digging it up, right?
It's, $17,000. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, sure, you're going to damp proof this? Like, are you kidding me? You're building your dream home, and to save a couple of bucks?
This is when it's going to be the cheapest to do it now.
And then they're going to drop like all kinds of, everything on top, landscaping, pool, this, that,
Yeah.
the other, everywhere,
Yeah.
all over the place.
Spending
and it's
millions.
like, what happens if the foundation fails because of waterproofing? It's insane.
You're gonna be scratching your head at that point. Yeah.
Right.
No,
right.
they'll be complaining to the contractor.
Absolutely. They'll
Yeah.
be calling the concrete. It's like, oh, your foundation failed. It's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, we have a general rule around our place. We're not always 100% successful at it, but when you're having conversations with people and you're making recommendations about certain things that are like, hey, we suggest you do the following, or we recommend you don't do whatever, we just send it an email all the time. We try to document everything possible because everybody conveniently, well, I shouldn't say conveniently, people just forget.
Oh, they
Paper
naturally
trails.
forget.
Whether they know or not, 3-4
Or they
years
don't
down
speak
the
to their
road,
significant other. They never
Yeah.
have a conversation about
Something like
anything to
that.
do with anything like
right.
that.
And then
right?
suddenly it blows up, right? And it's like if you've got something, then you can go, hey, like we talked about this, and here it is. Okay, and all of a sudden you're off the hook, right? But if you didn't do that, then you're in trouble. So we try to document everything.
Why are homeowners approaching the construction process on a negative instead of a positive? Are they just attached to the stereotype that all tradespeople are trying to take advantage? So when you're trying to educate them, they think you're trying to sell them.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. The truth is you're actually trying to educate them because you want to build a better product and you want to use better products. But why do they come in with their backs up already thinking...
Well, we've earned it. We've earned it.
Yeah?
I mean, there's just how many shysters are out there that are just like, there's a lot of them, right? So, you know, people.
You just had a horror story that you took over.
Oh my God.
Right? And how many times you guys get phone calls to take over?
Well, I could show you pictures of an ICF job.
Oh yeah.
Was
hey,
the
can you guys just come and take over this job? And it was like, I don't know if I had a homeowner contractor.
Was it Stevie Wonder Concrete or what?
It was Stevie Wonder Excavation, Stevie Wonder Concrete, Stevie Wonder
Do
Shoring.
you know what it looked like? So this was their actual attempt. When we got the pictures, it was winter. There was a mini excavator frozen, sideways ditched in the middle of the hole. The initial call came. The initial call came in. It's like, no, we think we can salvage most of the walls and stuff. We need somebody to kind of just come finish it off. And I asked for pictures, and I was like, oh, it literally looked like somebody poured the foundation, attempted to pour 3/4 of it, got like 3/4 of the block up, and then realized, oh, I fucked all this up. And then somebody from the bank with a giant excavator just went boom, boom, and just started sending shit flying everywhere into piles.
Not a giant, like a mini X in the hole. It wasn't a huge excavator, but
there was like a 3-ton like frozen on its side, kind of in the hole, buried. I don't even know how they were planning on getting it out of here, but I'm not kidding. It looked like a bomb went off.
They're going to call you for your boom.
Yeah, and I mean, we just said, sorry, like, we can't help you. And we said, you got to start over. There's no saving this. I mean, we didn't have anything to do with it after that.
That's the best thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. At that point, it's 100%. Like, hire a professional excavation company, get them in here, dig a proper hole. If it needs shoring, do the shoring. Then you can get a quality foundation inside the hole.
Isn't that what you said, Adrian? Like, when you took over that one job, that you would have been better off if you just demolished everything and started from scratch.
Yeah. I would have been better off. And
plus, it's a piece
it would
of
have
mind.
been a lot faster, too, because I would have been done probably 10 days doing it that way. And
a complete job.
Yeah. If I would have started from scratch one, like even just take the fucking footings out too, and I'll do all the footings myself, I would have been 10 days. Yeah. But I mean.
All right. So kids are coming into the industry. What are the top 3 key questions that a kid should be asking a seasoned tradesperson? It could be ICF, it could be concrete, it could be any other trade. But what questions should be like? What are the 3 questions they should be asking?
I think the first thing should be a statement.
A statement. And what's that statement?
I don't know a fucking thing. I'm not expecting a pickup truck on Friday.
Perfect.
and I have no expectations of running a crew.
Are you guys DGR car dealership? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, we unfortunately haven't seen a lot of it, but literally there's guys out there.
Everybody wants a truck?
Everybody wants a goddamn truck.
Like a brand new smacking like truck?
I think what George is speaking to is like the traditional industry. All, your production companies and stuff like that. The foreman drives the truck. He picks up the guys. They go to the job site. They come back. But for those key people in those companies, they default have a truck. They don't necessarily, sometimes they can't even park more than 2 vehicles, right? So they got their family vehicle. They got their work vehicle. Monday to Friday, I wake up in the morning. I go to work, come home, and then I got a car.
Yeah.
But
they don't have that.
But they leave the house like at 4:30 in the morning, and they're running around picking up the crew.
No, absolutely. But you got to look at that from the outside perspective of like, okay, I got this great job now, but I got to buy a car. So how much more money am I making? You know what I mean? It's just another thing to look at.
Yeah. But here's the best part. Everybody takes those trucks home. I tell people, and their jaws just drop. They take the trucks home. Yeah, my employer gives me a truck. Okay. Does your employer happen to account that on your taxes, that you take a truck home? Because every kilometer that's not business related, you're going to get hit for on your taxes. They're like, what are you talking about? It's like, that's a perk.
Yeah.
So if you've got 10,000 kilometers that were logged on that truck over the course of a year that are documented as business,
and you're supposed
and
to
there's 20,000 kilometers on the clock that were run that year, and the cost of having the truck on the road with fuel and all that kind of shit was 20 grand, 10 grand of it is supposed to go on your income taxes, and you're supposed to pay tax on that as income. Nobody does it.
Nobody knows it.
Nobody knows it. Hopefully more people pay attention to it. Ask your accountant is all I got to say. I'm not making this shit up. In Canada, that's the case. You're supposed to be paying taxes on that. So what's happening? Companies are getting audited. They dive into it. What are all these trucks? Who drives them? Where are the logs? These things go home. Yeah, this guy takes this home. This guy takes that home. Okay, great. Company has been writing them off entirely. We're taking away all those deductions. You have to pay back all the HST, plus the interest penalties, the whole bit. And the person who's taking the truck home now has to pay taxes on all of that retroactively for all that time. Oh,
That's just how it works.
holy shit. Nobody knows that. It's like, oh man, I got a free truck. No, it's not free, buddy. You're going to get busted.
So that's
not
the-
everybody does, but if it happens.
If it
oh boy.
happens, and the way our
Yeah.
government is these days,
Yeah.
they're coming knocking
For sure.
because they need the money. So that's the first
Yeah.
thing, statement. What are the other questions? New kid coming into the industry, what should they be asking?
What time do we start?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Back to the clock with the cement.
What time
truck on
should
the
I be
big hand.
here at?
Yeah, it's basic stuff, and you're looking to see if they show up early or not, right? You if they ask the
If
question,
they show up at that time.
yeah, and if they show up at 6:45 in the morning, great. And the next thing that comes out of their mouths, like, "Hey, good morning, everybody. Just out of curiosity, what time are we going to be done today?" Okay, you're just fired. Go home.
That's
Leave.
the worst thing you can say.
Yeah. What time are you done today? My mom made me a dental appointment. I got to get to. Jesus Christ, like it's just savage.
Come here, I'm going to knock out your teeth. You don't need the
I
appointment
know,
anymore.
it's kind of nuts. So there's stuff that none of us, because I mean everybody's saying the table's a little bit older, but there's nothing. It's stuff that none of us would have ever said out loud.
You would
because,
never ask.
because if you said that out loud 30 years ago, you'd probably knocked out cold, right? Then they'd pick you up, throw you in the truck, and still force you to work the full day, and you'd do it.
Well, the first time, I guess, he would have showed up in his Uber with hockey cards in the spokes, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
So what's the other question that they should be asking? I want these kids to listen to this
Well,
and understand, because I think there's a lot of good kids out there, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of great kids that
Yes.
unfortunately are being written off.
Yes.
And they really
Because
shouldn't
you're being
be.
grouped with.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like, we can't group them all together. There's
No,
a lot of
it's not
great,
fair. You gotta
great
give them a
girls and
chance.
guys out
Yes.
there who just want a chance. But they as well, if you give them a chance, they got to step up. They got
Any
to
thoughts,
step
Adam?
up.
Or like questions they should be asking?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never hired a young kid. I don't know. Everyone I've hired, I knew them.
You're just discriminating?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I've just never run into it. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think one of the things is, I mean, it might actually take some experience, but if they can already recognize, it's like, what do I need for tomorrow? Let's say the day before they start, it's like,
there's a
great question.
do I need a pouch? Do I need a hard hat? Do you guys supply that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what tools do I need to bring to the
You
table?
don't necessarily need to show up on the first day with stiletto.
Absolutely.
100%,
That's
you know.
150% true.
Are
I've
there-
always wanted one. I look at them, it's like, I'm going to destroy it.
Yeah, and another one is really quite simple. Is do I need any safety certificates to, a lot of kids out there that want to get into the game, and if want to get in the construction game, there's certain certificates they can go do on their own. You know what? You're talking to a potential employer, and you can say, hey, proactively, I
already
went
have.
out and I've got my my fall arrest, I got this, I
WMS,
got
yeah.
that, I got
Working at
WMS, I working at heights, whatever. I mean, as soon as someone says that, it's like, okay.
Well, any good company is already going to provide that opportunity
Absolutely.
for an employee that's
Yeah,
actually
for
taking
sure.
the initiative. But if you show up on your first day, first week, oh, by the way, I already have that.
Yeah.
We had a guy that did that. It's
Yeah.
like we asked him in advance, like, hey, you got
Do you have it?
Is it expired? Like he was a
course.
season.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
No, it's
actually,
laminated.
you know what? It is. Yeah, it is expired. It's like, okay, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But
And
he,
then by
he
the
took
ti-
the initiative.
I think
to-
there was a week gap there.
Totally.
He
Yeah.
went, took his own time, got that certification. So he's like, hey, don't worry about the working at heights. I relaminated it.
I changed the date and relaminated it.
No, which brings me to safety now, right? So obviously, you guys, it's the hard trade. It's
Dangerous
one of the
job.
hard
Yeah.
trade. It's a
Dangerous
dangerous trade.
Very dangerous.
Machinery over your head. Hard hats are a must. Like it's just everyone needs to be aware of stuff. Safety vis, high vis. Like this is all important stuff.
Yeah.
And I think just common sense comes into play as well
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Yeah.
So you got to have safety conversations.
Super important. I think probably one of the biggest. I have a real problem with this, and what it is that if you look at all the boys and girls on the commercial side, they're following the rules. They have no choice.
Right.
Right. They're following the rules.
They're being
wearing hard
policed all
hats.
the time, yeah.
They're being policed all the time. And then you've got guys. Again, this comes down to cutting corners. Then you've got companies out there. Some of them doing great work, and it's like hard hats. No, they wear baseball hats. They might have work boots on their feet, but the scaffolding's supposed to be like double planked, and some instances supposed to have railings and shit. Nah, single plank all the way around. Like we're just pouring in, we're out. Like they cut those corners, and unfortunately, nobody likes to be policed. But man, some of the stuff we see, It's like, come on. Like, you can just go on Instagram and you can see the stuff. It's like, are you kidding me? This is basic.
How long ago was it that rebar sticking out of footings with no protection
Yeah.
caps were not on them? Like, how? It's not that long ago.
No,
right?
that was like,
Well,
when did Instagram get created?
I think it's like 4 or 5 years you're
Yeah,
talking about that. You
there you
started
go.
seeing protection caps,
A
right?
lot more, right?
Right.
You start
Yeah.
posting stuff. You got everybody, hey, man, watch out for that. Watch out
But
for
to your
that.
point, it's true. It's just like on the commercial sites, because they have a lot more eyeballs on them.
Oh, yeah.
You see it more often, but on custom resi, you don't see it as often.
Right. And what I think drives that to a certain extent is, again, it's like, if I can come in and I can get this done, a 2-week job and make it, instead of being the full 10 days, I can do it in 9 by not doing this and that and this and that or whatever, and we can just hustle through. Well, I can be like a little bit cheaper or make that much more profit. But the thing, again, that a lot of folks don't understand, they think, oh, well, I've got, liability insurance and all this, that, and the other. Somebody gets hurt, WSIB, I'm covered. Sorry.
Doesn't work exactly like that.
Sorry. There's a fatality on your job site and it's related to negligence on behalf of the company, you're finished.
Yeah.
You're done. You're the supervisor. You're done. It's your responsibility to make sure everybody's safe. Hard hats, all the rest. So you got guys out there that are risking it for the biscuit, not realizing that everything you've spent the last 20 or 25 years working for could vanish in a second if there's a fatality and it's due to safety and it's the company's fault.
Never mind people getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
like,
just
oh
in
my God.
general.
Like, I think about that all the time. Like, if there was a serious injury,
Man, we think about it constantly.
whether
Like,
I
it's
was
such a
there, I
concern.
seen it or not, it's like, oh my God.
But it's not even
this
so
person
much
got hurt working
like,
for me.
It's not so much serious injuries as much as there's chronic injuries as well
Chronic
too,
injuries,
right?
yeah.
So the moment and it's like you can get, in our trade, you can get a tweak. You can do something to a knee, lower back, arm, shoulder.
Yeah, totally.
That basically it stops you from continuing working in this industry. And then it's not something that's repairable either, right? So you got to watch out for that stuff.
Yeah. Well, when I'm 56, so when I started off in the
Oh,
trades,
it's good to have someone here that's a little bit older than me.
there you go. when I started off in the trades, initially carpentry, that kind of thing, I worked with all the old guys. My dad was a carpenter. I was actually very fortunate. I had a whole bunch of old guys who loved to throw things at me.
They should have been baseball players.
You were just told once, man. After that, like
You
whatever
learn.
was close by, maybe not their hammer because they had to keep working. But man, if there was a 2x4 that was less than 3 feet, it's coming at you.
You're getting it.
You're getting it. It's coming at you. You're told once. After that, you better learn or you're done, right? So I learned real quick about that. And the safety thing was kind of, blasted into you in the whole bit to a certain extent. Although them having a glass of wine at lunch seemed to be perfectly normal.
You know what?
I
don't.
talk,
which still
I
to this
talk
day
about
blows
this
my
a lot,
mind.
though.
I
That
don't-
safety, right?
Yeah.
Safety, the rules, the courses, all of this stuff. How much value does that bring between the guys watching out for each other? Like compared to, I should say, not, you know what I mean? Yeah. You could take every safety course and everybody sits there and half the guys are sleeping and, okay, we did the safety course. The next day somebody gets hurt at work versus that group of people that are working together watching out for, hey, man, watch out. That piece of wood's loose. Hey, there's a nail sticking out
I
over
think
there.
that's far
That's
more
by
important
far the most important.
than just
important thing.
regurgitating safety protocols.
But
to
it's
a crew.
funny because the safety courses don't emphasize that part of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll go back to the alcohol.
You absolutely
okay,
should.
Listen, I want to go back to the alcohol.
Yeah.
A glass of wine at lunch during the workday, I know it's 100% illegal,
Yeah.
but I don't see anything wrong with it. Right? That's just me. That's just me. Because any other profession in the industry, you tell me that they do not go to lunch and have a meeting and go talk and have a beverage and then go back to work
You're not
and
wrong.
do that.
Yeah.
Right? There's like, it just, I'm not saying you're getting drunk, but to have a glass of wine,
Yeah.
I think in that famous photo on the skyscraper in New York, I'm pretty sure those lunch boxes that were next to them, there may have been a little bit of a bottle of
There may have
something.
been something. Well,
Every single one of them.
Well, do you know what's the interesting thing is there are companies out there, and we know for a fact some of them are concrete forming companies, even local. Guy smoking a joint while he's working.
That's another thing.
That seems to be okay somehow. It's like, I don't know, would I be walking around with a beer? Would that be all right while I'm working?
No, see,
Like,
that
you
I
know,
would draw the line at that, right? I would.
we're very strict about it. Like
Yeah.
none of that shit goes on in our shop. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty much like you're done if that ever went. Like nobody's smoking a joint. No one's drinking anything. Like we're very
Because if
strict,
someone
but
does
a lot
get
of guys
hurt,
aren't.
like that's
That becomes the reason. It doesn't matter about anything else.
Yeah.
Well, and it's if Buddy wants to smoke a joint, do something dumb, hurt himself, accept full responsibility for it, and it doesn't wipe out the company, which wipes out then all the employees and impacts all their families.
Families.
Right?
Yes.
And or Buddy does something dumb, seriously injures or kills his coworker.
That goes back to Ryan's point about
thanks for that, buddy. Thanks for that. You're a selfish act.
It's the group of
They
people
can't
that
do
work
that.
together
watch
every day.
each other's backs, right?
Right. And he's like 150% right on the mark. That is the most important thing. And you know how you know the system is completely flawed? You put 50 guys in a room to take whatever course. God damn, doesn't everybody always pass?
Yeah, how does nobody ever
How
fail?
does
at safety
nobody
hours?
ever fail? They take your money, you watch some videos.
What'd you get?
Yeah.
There is please tell me where there is ever a 100% pass rate in every course that's taught.
Oh, I know where. Politics.
But seriously, like, how is it that everybody always passes?
No, and that's why I rather like that camaraderie, like that group, brotherhood, sisterhood, that collective. That's far more important. That's what should happen. You should actually do the test on the job site. You should probably be a supervisor watching the collective, the group, and doing a procedure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then marking it and going, it's never going to be 100. Someone's going to misstep or mistake or do something wrong. And you go, well, you tick too. It's no different. Like, you guys taking motorcycle tests?
Yeah.
Like you go out the line, you get a mark off against you. Like you go too slow, you get a mark off against you.
Heavy truck testing, any of that
Same thing,
stuff.
all that stuff, right? So it should be the same way
with
with trades, right? Every trade, I think, should be that way.
Yeah.
Totally. My dad was a licensed carpenter and a damn good one. Way back in the day, I remember asking my dad, was it difficult for you to become a licensed carpenter? He said, no, it cost me $50. I'm like, what?
Piece of paper laminated.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Laminated
paper,
man.
He said, it cost me $50. He said, everybody in his class
Passed.
Gold
star passed.
Yep, and the back in the day, they needed the labor bad, and they had a lot of hardworking Europeans who showed up, which they knew were going to work their asses off and get it done. So they was kind of like, and they let everybody pass, and everyone just happened to give the instructor $50, which is a lot of money back in the day. I'm sure the instructors did quite well, but those were the men and women who, primarily men then, who did in fact go out, hustle hard, and work their asses off. So I mean, they got it done. If they had to learn on the job, whatever, they got it done. There was no passes when you hit the job site. But that's what kind of went on back in the day. But 100% pass rate on safety, to me, the guys rolling out of the truck, hopefully half awake, having a 3-minute little talk before everybody like officially kind of gets to work, to just have a quick conversation about safety, will do exponentially more doing that each day than all the safety courses you're going to take. Because then everybody, it's on their mind, and everyone's watching out for one another. That's a win in my books.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Educating tradespeople to understand that person next to you is more important. You're responsible for that person.
Yeah, totally.
Their lives, their family, their everybody.
And you know what? The inspectors who come out, I mean, the guys that will come out and inspect, you know, in the States, it's OSHA and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, for us, when the Ministry of Labor comes out, it's interesting that if they see you're actually putting in the effort, they don't pick on you.
They'll respect you differently. They'll
Totally.
speak to
They'll
you
look at you
differently.
and they go, hard hats,
Yes.
double planking. Okay, maybe there should be scaffolding all the way around, but there isn't. But my God, you guys are like, look, the site is clean. There's this, there's that, blah, 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 blah. You guys are doing 50 times more than everybody else. You guys are actually putting in a solid effort. They're like, hey, man. And then if you simply ask the inspector while he's there, hey, look around. What could we do better? Pick their brain. Let them point out a couple things, right? Huge win.
Yeah.
But they're actually a resource.
It's true.
They're not actually, in my opinion, when
They're not the bad guy.
yeah,
enforcement,
when
like, oh, shit,
When they're out busting somebody, they're trying to keep people safe and alive.
Yeah.
Because people do the most asinine things. And again, on the residential side, the stuff that goes on is just savage, right? But on the commercial side, unionized side, way cleaner show. Much better. The resi side needs to clean its act up.
I want to ask you, gentlemen, the future of ICF. Where's it going to evolve next to? Is it evolving? How can it evolve?
It's absolutely evolving. Yeah.
Constantly evolving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dollars to donuts, man. Like, it's replacing slowly.
It will exceed traditional, right?
Yeah.
Can we all agree
in
that?
the building
I believe-
envelope?
Yeah.
I think that it's a better system, like you say. You know, maybe styrofoam's going to get cheaper. We could insulate our traditional
think
walls.
about it. Building code changes the moment that a requirement is put out there that there needs to be continuous blah, 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 foam or whatever on the outside all the way up, traditional's finished.
Yeah.
As soon as if that's mandated, traditional's done, because the math will suddenly work out that to do a traditional foundation and then to mechanically fasten and do everything on the outside of the wall that's required, you start adding all that up, and I guarantee you ICF will be cheaper.
And faster.
Right, period. Like, I mean, way cheaper. So building code changes, traditional's dead.
Any other thoughts on future of ICF?
Don't let me add to that. Building code probably won't change that quickly because we actually need everybody who's putting foundations in the ground.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're going to do the math. The folks who pull the, the strings and stuff will do the math and go, well, we can't just mandate this now. We got to bring it in slowly.
No, you got to transition it, right?
We got to transition it slowly. That transition is happening. Go up north. Everything's ICF. Like, it's rare to see a foundation that's traditional.
That's how you're seeing it up there as well, too.
Yep.
Oh yeah, totally. And as you come further south, like when there's a lot more foundation companies kicking about, they're doing traditional. Well, it's an obvious. They're just continuing to do the same thing, but it's changing. It's really starting to gain a lot more traction.
Well, I think in that, like, the future of ICF, right? So more companies are going to start manufacturing or producing blocks. There's going to be different block suppliers and this and that. And just like all the beginning of our conversation about running companies, it's like, who can make now an easier product to install? Something that goes
It's
together.
already easy. DIYers could do it.
You can do it yourself. All you need is a measuring tape and a level, right?
Yeah.
Don't even need measuring tape.
Yeah.
I heard that.
We actually joke.
at 12. Yeah.
We actually joke occasionally that all the blocks have all the different manufacturers have weaknesses and strengths. It's sort of like, can we just get them all together in a room, sitting around this round square table, and can you guys just like take all your patents and shit and just put them in the middle and pick the best of each one and make like the block?
Can that happen? Will that happen?
No.
I'm sure
question. I
egos.
doubt it.
I'm sure egos will get in the way,
Of course they would.
right? But there are aspects that each manufacturer has that kick another one's ass, and everyone's got. It's like they all have their strengths.
Are they Are there patents at all?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought it
100%.
was. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, they're patented to death. There's actually a tremendous amount of technology and engineering and stuff that goes into these things. It's not just like two random pieces of styrofoam with some plastic in the middle. Like there's
there's a lot put into it.
there's a lot put in. It's actually a very impressive product, almost regardless of the manufacturer. That's just a fact. Like they've done a great job. It's come a long way. It's come a long way. Still has more to go, but it's come a long way. For myself, I just build an ICF for myself. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Right, I'm a partner.
I've never done
in a
one
concrete
yet.
company,
Yeah.
and everything I do for myself, I do an ICF because I really feel strongly about the product.
You walk the
It feels
talk
better.
there, George.
Yeah. Well, but having said that, currently doing one for myself, and it's actually a hybrid. There's aspects of it. This is one of the big strengths we bring to the table. We can do hybrid foundations.
Interesting.
So you can take the
So what components are you doing ICF?
So there are structural components on the interior of the building that need to be concrete for structural strength, but don't need to have styrofoam on them.
Got it.
Right? So there's a lot of things that we can do traditionally on the interior of the building, which is less expensive and faster, which we can whack together doing traditional, and then bring the benefits of the ICF where it makes sense. So we've had projects that we've taken that have been fully done in ICF and said, hey, this, and this, traditional. They're like, what? Go, yeah, we can do that. We can actually bring the price down if we do these aspects in traditional and do all the stuff that matters thermally, right, to the building.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And do all that in ICF. Like, why are we doing all this stuff on the inside in ICF? But a lot of companies don't have the ability to do that. And sometimes it doesn't make that big of a difference. It really depends on the project. It depends on the foundation. But, I for example, on mine, I have aspects of mine which I did traditionally just because we're kind of able to. But still, ICF is super flexible. You can do so much with it. I really like the product. Did a garage, and after that, it was like, okay, that's it. Like, it was just right away. It was just insane how efficient it was. I heated all winter. It was a decent-sized garage.
It makes a huge difference.
I could heat it with
Huge
with something smaller than a toaster, for God's sake. Like, the thing would stay at like 50 degrees forever, all winter long, and minus 40.
I love science and construction.
crazy.
I love that you can build something and do something, do a detail, and all of a sudden see a cause and effect to it.
Yeah.
Like you can, and tradespeople know this more, and unfortunately, they know it more than the people that are signing off on, I guess, permits and drawings and designs and homeowners. I think that they know them a lot more than them, right?
Yeah. Well, there are too
but
many.
they won't listen to us.
There's endless numbers of folks that call.
We're trying to sell them on an idea, right? That's the problem with homeowners not.
We're not selling. We're educating.
That's what we're trying to do.
Like, wouldn't you want to listen to somebody that's done it a dozen times?
Listen, there's people that do. That listen great.
No, there's more people that don't.
I know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there are, yeah.
I want to listen to the people, boots on the ground, the ones that have done it several times. I may listen to the person that's done it one time.
Yeah.
Based on their
But
experience.
have you been in the scenario where you're asking advice of somebody, something you don't really know about, you know a little bit, and you can already smell some kind of BS coming through, and it's like, I don't know much, but I know that you're full of shit, right? Like it's that's why people are like that, right? It's because you can only I forget the saying. I can't remember right now.
We'll get people that are calling in. It's fantastic. You know, we get some drawings coming. Yeah, I'm building a home in South Oakville, blah, blah, blah. It's, 60s, blah, blah, blah. It's like a $3 million, $4 million home build or something. So who's building it for? I'm doing it myself. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
What's the primary reason why they say that? They want to save costs? They don't want
They want to save the management fees and all the rest. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, okay, an experienced builder is going to be going bananas, working their ass off to manage that thing, being there full time to pull that thing off properly. And somehow you and your significant other who have full-time jobs and 3 kids and 4 dogs and all this and have to go to work every day, or you're going to you think you can quarterback this shit? I'm sorry, you can try, but I guarantee you're not going to win. You're going to lose. You may not realize it, but by the end of the job, you will have spent more and probably be divorced. And I can tell you, I've seen a lot of people by the time they get to the end of it have lost their jobs because they're not present at work because shit's on fire at their build. It's a problem. They don't know what they don't know.
Somebody that actually knew how to do all this stuff, and they
have no clue.
Care of it, but they don't want to know it. They don't want to be told it by people that are wearing blue collars.
You get people calling and say, "Well, when you got to get the surveyor in to pin the what surveyor? What's the surveyor for?" Oh my God!
Yeah.
So where do you think we're putting the footings? Like, how do you think we're supposed to know down in that hole exactly
Steve
where it's all
Harvey,
going? Right? We're not doing this in the middle of a field where we can be.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks
Pin
good.
here.
Yeah.
Looks good.
This is
Okay,
this
that's
is
the one corner.
This is common. This is common. It is absolutely insane. People spending huge amounts of money. It's common. So my favorite thing to do is when people call. So I always ask, where's the job? Where's the job? How big is it, et cetera? What's your timeline? When do you expect to get permit? So we're typically booked pretty far out. So I field a lot of calls where folks are we're just not able to service them, right? But I like to try to educate them because I just kind of like teaching and stuff. So I start asking questions. It's clear they don't know a goddamn thing. I've already told them, I can't do your job. Like, we cannot do your job. We're booked. Like, maybe next year, if you want to book for next year, we can pull it off.
I'm a professional speaking to you.
Yeah. So at that point,
Take it for what it's worth, right?
At that point, I will literally say out loud, so I'm not doing, we're not doing your foundation. We can't. Now, can I give you a little advice?
No, you can't.
And no, a lot of them are actually like, absolutely. We've actually had somebody post a review that said, I just got more information talking to someone on the phone from DGR, helping me with my build when they told me they can't even do it, and spent like an hour on the phone with me giving me advice, right, from experience.
Compared to what? They Googled?
Well, what happens is people are like, they call around, they're just trying to fake it, right? So I'm trying to help people, but the second is not selling you something that's not a conflict of interest. It's like, I'm legitimately trying to help you. And it's incredible how little people know. And they've decided, because they just think, as we all know sitting at the table, they can hire an electrician, a plumber, pick all the trades, and that somehow miraculously they're all going to talk to one another and all the bases are covered. And we know that there's massive holes between every single trade. And what the builder brings to the table is the ability, I refer to it as the crazy glue or adhesive, to pull it all together, fill in the gaps, and make everything stick. As soon as you don't have that, you're fucked. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Big problem. So I try to convince people, it's like, think hard about this because you don't know what you don't know. And all I have to do is 30 seconds of discussing a few odds and ends about the foundation, and they quickly start to realize,
I'm way over my head.
I'm way over my head. Like we're talking about the foundation, and I had no idea that I'm going to have to deal with possibly pumping water, or wait, I got to get the surveyor in for what, or there's all kinds of stuff like that, and they just haven't got a clue, right? They just haven't got a clue.
Power, site protection. Hey, you get a fence. Talking to excavators, how many times they pull up? It's like people don't even have a bathroom, right?
Yeah. No fence, no proper bathroom, no nothing. It's like what? I got to do this, and all of a sudden they're on the phone. And meanwhile, the trade is sitting there going, yeah, this is great. The poor guy in the excavator now, what's he going to do? He has to get in his truck, go to Tim Hortons, stop digging the hole because you didn't get a bathroom there. And some guys just leave. No bathroom, see ya.
And you know what?
Go to the next one. I'm out.
I encourage you to.
Yeah.
I think the bare basic, it should be a bathroom there on site, right? Bare basic.
Crazy.
When did you guys look at your business and realize that you guys achieved a successful business?
We're still working on it.
I was going to say, do you ever
well,
really
sorry. It's a trick question. That's the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah,
exactly.
The learning.
Adrian, you feeling the same way?
Yeah.
I mean, my bills are paid.
That's a good start. Yeah.
I still work 16 hours a day, but
that's insane. You're a lone wolf. You can't do that. What if you do get hurt?
You know what? I'm not dumb.
Do you have a sense of like at the end of the day, it must feel good every day because it's like, man, what I accomplished today, nobody else could do this.
After
right?
oh fuck, I'm hurting. Yeah, that looks fucking good.
Yeah,
but I have third-party insurance that if I were to get hurt, I'm covered.
Yeah,
for now until I die. I've been smart with my money. I've invested.
But you would still miss the construction part of your life, right?
I would, but I mean, if I fucked up that bad, then maybe I shouldn't be doing it anymore.
Well,
or take a little more time.
And there is the thing too, like if all of a sudden you weren't able to do it, but if you've got the insurance and you've got that piece covered, well, what does that buy you? That buys you time to recover without losing your house.
And peace of mind.
And peace of mind. And then now gives you the opportunity to go, well, I've got this great business I'm working very hard at. So now, you know what? I'm going to change gears. I'm not going to be the guy in the field, but I'm going to take everything I know and the experience. I'm going to hire a couple of people, and I'm going to change how and this is part of everyone out there needs to be thinking about, if this happens, what am I going to do? If that happens, what am I going to do? What does this look like? If you don't think about it, then you're just the future's bitch.
Yeah.
Right? You got to be thinking about it. It's super important.
That brings me to everyone gets into this business, but everyone gets out of this business. Yeah. You got to start thinking about retirement. You got to start thinking about how you're leaving this business.
Isn't the only way to retire being part of the union?
And that was Ryan. Just want to clarify the voice. No, but everyone is, and I certainly believe, and I honestly believe that everyone that gets in this business is a teacher, and it tries to teach and share as much as they can to the next group of kids that are coming into the industry. Yeah. That's part of your retirement exit plan, right? You should take a conscious effort or make a conscious effort to actually find some kids that go, listen, ask me any question, come to my job site. This is my last year. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I've been through. This is what I've learned. This is what you should consider. Like, I think that we're all responsible for doing that. That's part of your retirement.
That's the give back, right?
Yeah. You have to do that.
You have to ask yourself two questions. I did this when I stopped building. But way before then, I had to make a decision. Am I building a business that's me, George Rodriguez, like I'm the brand, I'm the thing that people are hiring, da-da-da-da. First, what Adrian's doing, he gets hired because the dude like just goes out and crushes it and gets it done, and people want to hire him and they love his work, so he's super successful at it, right? He's his own brand. This guy, right? So you have to ask yourself that question. Am I building a company whereby when I go, the company is just folds up and it's done and I'm good with that, which is what I did, and then decided to go on to just, do some other stuff? Or am I building a business that is saleable? Those are the two streams, full stop.
Do you not think that every business is saleable?
No.
No?
No. My business that I had was not saleable because I was the entire company up here. Everybody just wanted me.
Got it.
Period. There was no like, who's this guy? No. I want this guy because I was the guy always, right? So if you don't build a business that has different swim lanes and different people that are doing different things and it can run without you, if it can't run without you, right, it's not saleable.
It's true.
So those are the two things to look at. Either I'm just riding this out until I'm done and I'm good with that, or I am building a company that I can sell. And then you can rip it apart and go, what does that look like? If I wanted to buy a business, what do I need to see? Then you got to build that, right? If you're not building that, then it's just going to fold up with you. Pick the stream.
Have you thought about that, Adrian?
Yep, and actually, I'm in the midst of opening up a new company,
There you go.
and it's 100% for building spec homes. Going to do a couple of estate subdivisions, and
Beautiful.
that's it.
Yep.
Fantastic.
When that's done, I'll either hopefully be able to hand it down to my kids if they want it. If not,
Yep.
shut down, or it goes to the
On it
highest
goes.
bidder.
Yep.
Yeah, like you just, because the reality is that you just have to think, the easiest way to do it is to go, if I was buying a company, if I was buying a concrete forming company or whatever, what would I want to see to justify me writing a check for 7 figures,
Yeah.
right? That's how you got to think about it. And if I wouldn't write the check for 7 figures for my business, then I'm clearly doing it wrong, right? Like you have to be able to yourself look at what you're doing and understand why it's saleable. Because I've had conversations with folks who think their business is worth an absolute fortune. And they don't like it when I look at them and go, your business is worth the tools and equipment that are in it, full stop. That's it. Your client list is worth fuck all because they want you.
Yeah.
And basically all your shit, whatever it's worth on Kijiji, that's the value of your company, full stop, not worth anything else. And they never like hearing it, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line.
They don't like hearing it. They don't like seeing it either, right?
Yeah.
But that's how they built it.
Right.
Right.
So if you don't want that, just build something different. That's all. It is possible to do, but you've got to be strategic and you have to work out hard at it and all that.
There's a lot in construction where, like, entrepreneurship and everything is. There's no pension waiting for us. There's no.
You got to make your own.
There's no old age security waiting for us. No. There's no investments for us. You have to just start doing your own education and figuring out what you want to do for your. It's an exit plan. There is an exit plan. After you've educated and shared what you can, you want to go enjoy your life now. Whether we all know that that means you're just going to be tinkering around at your own house and building your own things and taking care of that, then great, no more clients. But then your exit plan, and you got to have your security because we cannot count on the government for our security, right?
No, nobody should. I mean,
so you got a kid coming into the business right now. What do we tell this kid? Listen, I get you're a kid. You're 20 years old. You're coming into this business. You have a perishable trade because in 50 years your body will be a little broken, you should be considering how to get out of this business and still have a life that you can travel and enjoy and do everything physically and mentally.
And you know what's out there which steers, in my opinion, a lot of folks in the wrong direction? It depends on what stream you want. But and this isn't speaking against the unions, because unions do bring a lot of really good stuff to the table. They really do.
Of course.
But all you have to do is do a little Google search on how many unions may have not kind of worked out so well and the pensions have disappeared and gone bankrupt or whatever.
Holy crap, you're bringing that.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Just talking about that today, weren't we, Manny?
Right. That's actually a thing. And like, don't take my word for it. Like, just do a Google search. It'll all start popping up. Right. And I know people who worked for huge companies way back in the day that thought they had this massive pension and stuff went sideways and they ended up with virtually nothing.
Yeah.
My father-in-law was one of them, right? It's like he was supposed to, and all of a sudden the whole thing, the company got sold and this and that happened. All of a sudden everyone's standing around going, what the hell happened? I thought I had this great pension. So I guess the point I'm trying to get at is, even if you have a great pension, do yourself a favor, pretend you have no pension and make your own pension.
And build that.
And then if you're double dipping, beautiful. But it's a bonus. Do not count on a union pension or anything to fulfill your dreams in old age.
And I think what built these unions and this whole mentality is the lack of available information in the days that these unions really gain power, right? Nowadays with the internet, computers, banking, financial advice, like there's so many options you have to work with your money versus, not necessarily knowing the language that well or anybody, and you go talk to one person at your local bank, and are you going to trust them completely?
Wouldn't it be great if like contractors can actually just pull together and study what to do, and work together as it and try something?
This is the tool.
Yes.
If everybody just does this, everybody will be fine by the time you're, you know.
And keep an eye on it.
It would be great, but do you know what stops that from happening?
I know what.
Ego.
I know.
Ego. I know better than everybody else. My big yacht, I don't need, no one's going to tell me nothing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, buddy, whatever you want, right? But why do we have this? Why have the unions, the construction unions, done really quite well? And to be honest, a lot of people, my father was with Local 27. raised a family. My mom worked as well, had a beautiful house, cars, retired with money. He was smart with his money and invested, all that kind of fun stuff. So it all worked out great for them. That is the story for a lot of families. The union helped keep these people from being taken advantage of. They played a very special and strong role. They did a great job.
Different times though nowadays.
It's different times.
Scary times. And
But I think right now, the thing that a lot of people forget, for example, is like our compensation is, I think, if not equal to, in some instances, even better than the union. Because the reality of it is, if you don't pay your people, like if you're working in an environment in an area where the union is right across the street, if you're not paying your people over here the same or more than they can go get at the union over there, why on earth would they work for you? They'd walk across the street and work for the union shop.
But I'm seeing that a lot of independent companies like yourselves, that you guys are offering those rates competitive to the union.
Yeah, it's the rates, it's RSPs.
You're not being blasphemous to the union.
No,
you're
not at
just
all.
saying that your skill set is worth this much.
Right.
So your group of employees is making the same amount as a union.
The union is establishing this is the amount of money that you folks should all be making. So for us, it's like, well, why should, if they're working for us on this side of the street, be making any less? So we have RSPs. We have a robust, medical plan and dental and all that kind of stuff. We do all that stuff. But to be completely honest, as a business, if you can pay a little bit less, well, then why wouldn't you? But the reality of it is you want to be able to make it so your people have to be making great money. Your employees have to be doing well. They have to be happy, safe, etc., feel all of that. Well, they can't do that if they don't have a retirement fund building up. Mm-hmm. They can't do that if they don't have benefits so their kids can get braces, right? So if you provide all of that and can do that,
or veneers.
Yeah, let's hold off on the veneers. We don't have that in our plan. But you get my point, right?
They need it for Instagram, man.
If you want people to work for you and do well and all the rest, pay them well. So the problem we have, of course, is that in our industry that's not unionized, you've got folks trying to get away with whatever they can get away with, where the union says, "Nah." And the union shop, everybody makes the same amount of money, depending on where your pecking order and everybody, right? It's set. But in our industry, you've got people trying to pay less and this, that, and the other, and it's all over the place. Really what should be happening, we'll take concrete forming as an example. Everybody, whether you're unionized or not, should be getting the full ride as they do in the union.
100%, yeah.
And yes, would that mean that on the residential side the rates would come up? Well, okay, good, because maybe then there's going to be more money for
what?
Safety and for this and for that.
Exactly.
Right?
Come up from what? I don't apples and apples, man. Like, who are you comparing it to? The guys that are coming along and doing a shit job, and then they do a nightmare job? Like, sure, they were 50% cheaper than you. There was a reason why they were 50% cheaper.
Totally.
I was bringing up the whole retirement thing because I was just thinking that 20-year-old kid just getting started, they didn't spend $100,000 on education for a career that they necessarily didn't want in their to begin with. Maybe their family wanted it. Yeah. But you're coming into a construction industry, a trade, and you're hungry and you're passionate about it, and now you're 20 years old and you can go 30 years, and if you've got some smart financial planning you're building properly,
so well.
It's not unheard of kids in their early 30s actually having enough money to buy a house in today's economic time.
Totally, yeah.
That's not unheard of.
100%.
So it's just like being smart, and then at 50, you're vibrant, you're healthy. Like 50 is like, yeah, like George, 50 is young, man. Like, it's young in my opinion, right?
If you play your cards even reasonably well and you're not a moron, you can be doing unbelievably well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can be doing unbelievably well because that head start you have, as long as you're not blowing all your money partying and on ridiculous cars and stuff, if you do something even in veneers, if you do something even remotely, good with your money, you're going to be good.
You're going to do really well. And you don't need that expensive pickup truck.
Oh, don't even get me
Honda
started
Civic
on
is
those,
perfectly
man.
fine from the 90s.
Ryan is going to be like,
saying?
hey, everybody should have a platinum.
No, it's not even that. It's
located in Southwestern Ontario. IsoMatrixx Building Products provides quality insulated concrete forming products and support to customers across Ontario as well as internationally. With over 20 years of experience in the ICF industry, IsoMatrixx Building Products has been a leading supplier of ICF and accompanying products to Ontario's construction industry. Specializing in Amvic ICF products as well as Insuldeck, Fab-form's fast foot products, MST's fiberglass rebar, bracing rental, and so much more. IsoMatrixx provides unparalleled customer service as well as fast and reliable tech support for any job. Distributing out of Kitchener with their own fleet of trucks means fast turnaround and versatile delivery to virtually any job site. As one of the leading ICF distributors in Ontario, IsoMatrixx can work alongside you all the way, whether the job be residential, commercial, or institutional. Check out IsoMatrixx with 2 X's at isomatrixx.ca and on IG at IsoMatrixx ICF, and also get in touch with them at isomatrixx.office@gmail.com.
You make your bed, right?
Yes.
So you want to sacrifice now, you win later.
Right.
You know, I can't say that I was smart all the way through,
No,
but
none of us were.
in those beginning times, I mean, those memories I take, like if I'm going to tell a story, it's going to be from the times I wasn't really being that smart, but at the same time, they're memories you carry for life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're things you do. So I think that there's a small part of your 20s there that it's not the end of the world. You go a little bit off the rails,
Yeah,
but
totally.
it's about how you bring it back. And like you say,
Yes.
educating yourself. There's so many ways to educate yourself now. You just educate yourself. This is what I want to do. You could literally be like, I want to retire at this age with this much money a month. And the backwards math tells you this is what I got to do. You might not like it, but again, you make your bed.
Well, you will love it.
You will love it.
Oh,
You'll
super.
love it when you, like you say, you're a little worn out, the body's beat up. You don't want to go to work 7 days a week. It's that's when it pays dividends, right?
Yeah. And we're really fortunate in Canada because we've got, you know, healthcare and blah, 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 blah. We have family in the US and we know people in the States that it's like, you're still working. They've got great jobs. And it's like, they're still working.
Because they've done the numbers.
Well, the numbers are that they have to keep working because they need the healthcare. Where fortunately,
Scary.
for
And
them,
that's
it's
true.
for them it's a lot more difficult depending on where you live in the world. For us as Canadians, there are certain things that you can look at and go, very high probability that these things are still going to be here. You still assume that they're not, but you know, hedge your bets properly. But some easy, quick math, a little reverse engineering, and if you don't know how to do it, spend a little money actually and hire a financial planner or something in a very
Speak
short
to
period
people.
of time.
Yeah, speak to people.
You'll know exactly what to do, or you know, it doesn't take much. Put away a little bit of money each week, and oh my God, after 15 years, it's like, how much is in the bank?
Yeah.
How much do I have invested? Holy shit. It's mind blowing, actually. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's huge.
Plenty of
Well,
money.
you
for
think about
vineyards.
it. What's your average trade life, you know, with the union? 30 years?
I would say 30 years
Yeah.
Between
About
30 to
30.
35
before you
years.
tapping
maybe?
out. Yeah.
Yeah. But that means with a little bit of management, in 30 years, you can build yourself a retirement, right? Like it's not out of reach, I guess.
It's not at all. It's not at all.
So back to ICF and training, what should be, it's like, I know that we joked about 1 or 2 days or whatever, but what should it be? Outside of the 5 years and get shadowing and learning everything like that. But if someone wants to get some knowledge to get started, what should it be? Like, should it be more extensive? Should it be like,
It's a hands-on thing.
yeah.
I would agree 100%.
Yeah.
So just get the hands-on on a site. That's more
You
valuable.
need to get a job.
And if they want to give you a laminated card, then that's great, but that doesn't have any
That
value,
doesn't
right?
really mean
value.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? But everyone, like, there's a lot of manufacturers that are just offering this 1 or 2 day thing, right?
And I don't know if that's considered to be like a course. I mean, you could speak to that.
Yeah, it's not. It's just like a beginning. Hey, here's like a little intro to the ICF world. It's not saying like, oh, here's your card. You're an installer now. It's like you still need your hands on. It's just a little taste of what it's
like. To
what it
me,
is.
a homeowner shows up to take the course. I feel like whoever's teaching the course, their job should be, it's like, who here's a homeowner?
Get out.
No, not get out. It's like, you 4 people, my job right now is to scare the shit out of you for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
I am going to terrify you with the realities of what could go wrong so you can really have a good, long conversation with your spouse if this makes sense or not. You know what? Do the trim. Hang some doors. Go fake that. Do not do your foundation.
Yeah.
Dear
Go find
God.
a
I like the guys who argue with you when you're trying to give them some advice and they're arguing it with you and they've never done it.
The homeowner?
Yeah. Yeah. It's horrible.
Because they Googled it.
Yeah. It's just,
Oh,
it's
they're
horrible.
experts, right? They're
Is
just,
there like an ICF page on Pinterest?
There must be.
there's got
I
to be.
certainly hope
So-
not. I
there's
certainly hope
probably
not.
millions
Please tell
of-
me there isn't.
Oh yeah.
Is there
I
one?
don't know, but
Somebody look it up because
it up.
I'm not going to look it up.
yeah.
Look it
Yeah,
up.
it's not one of those things. I really feel the part that people miss is that it's not that the ICF block is difficult to put together.
No.
It's not difficult
It's
to
not
brace.
that.
Like if you had a detailed roadmap of like, don't fuck up any of the following. Do exactly as this states. Okay? Here you go. Here's the roadmap. The thing that you cannot put down on paper or teach is what happens when that concrete starts flowing.
Yep.
That one, that's the wild card. And there's no way you can teach that. That's like, got to do it.
That's like lava, eh?
Very similar to that.
Very similar. Yeah.
Well, it's not hot though.
Not at first.
In the winter months, it has some steam.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
little
but
bit. of
that's
heat
like
there.
great then.
I'm just saying, there's a certain special skilled tradesperson that can handle that pressure. There's that tension, that stress on a pour.
It's savage.
It is.
It really is. It's you.
But it's
you-
also satisfying when
Well,
it goes
it's
well.
an addiction,
Yeah.
right? It's an addiction.
is.
The
Oh my
people
God.
that
Is
like
it
pouring
ever?
concrete, they just want to.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
Is it
absolutely.
ever
Yeah.
when the pump shows up and that first truck rolls
That
in and
diesel
backs off
smell,
and
the
you're
concrete
standing
smell
there
that's
on
in the
scaffolding,
air.
110%.
and they've
Yes.
just primed and he brings a hose up to you and you're like shitting your pants like, fuck, did I do every single
Well,
thing
yeah,
I
you're
could?
replaying every step of the
Yeah.
construction process. Like, okay, we got that, we got, yeah,
You
okay,
can
we're
make
good.
diamonds with the sphincters that are all tight on that job
And-
site,
and
just
then-
waiting for stuff to happen,
And
man.
then the first drop comes. Plop.
What's better, the first drop or the last drop?
The last one.
Yeah, that's
Because you're like
nothing
that
better.
first one, it's like, oh fuck, is it gonna blow apart right here? Then it's like, okay, well we're going.
Yeah.
Okay, well we're, oh fuck, we're over 8 feet up. We better move. Then keep going and just wrap it around. And by the time you got that first truck done, it's like you're fucking just it like rails of cocaine. And you're like, woo, let's go. And it's
I have no idea what you're talking about.
you just can't. Well, you know, from the movies, right?
The movies, that's right.
But you know, it's just like it's a
It's a rush. It's a rush.
it is.
It's,
Yeah.
But I mean, we actually haven't. I know we skirted it. How do you guys handle that blowout? Like,
Shut her down.
it's happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what's the procedure? Like, you got a crew, you got guys on the site. Like, what's happening? Like, what do you guys do?
Depends on the blowout.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends on the. I mean, we've had very few incidents, but we overkill the shit out of everything. But
Yeah.
even when you do that, it's just easy for one person to miss like a piece of plywood somewhere or
Yep.
one brace somewhere. It just takes one spot. That's the part that is most terrifying. When it's go time, it's like you just hope to God you caught everything, right? And if you didn't, you're not going to find out until potentially it's too late. So depending on what comes undone, you know, it's depending on how you're going to have to react to it. And it's very different from ICF versus traditional.
Yeah, it's too
traditional, I
different
feel like you got, I don't know. I want to say you got more of a chance to recover, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
I feel like it
Depending on-
depends on,
I can
how,
remember
how much you
ICF pretty
poured.
quick.
Depends on how much
Sorry?
you poured, what the length of wall is.
Well,
all
this
that
is
kind
the
of-
whole
how much-
thing,
how
right? The
much is
fact that
gonna
we can
flow out.
open up forms and get concrete out
Yeah.
and then close them back up versus like, I don't know, would you cut out the ice, but then all the ribs, it's like, you know, you got to
It
get the
almost
concrete out to
seems
be able
like
to push
traditional would
right.
be easier to handle a fault. It's kind of, or no?
In my mind,
It
I think that
depends.
because that's what I know, right? And
depends.
I'm sure you would argue the opposite.
But
and be like,
I
It all
watched
depends on
a
what it is, though.
14-foot corner blow apart and fly into the neighbor's house. And the guys go over there, grab the brace with the corner on it, bring it back over, strap back in, and fucking let it rip.
Wow.
Wasn't on one of my jobs because I wouldn't have done that. But
No. But again, depends how high you are, right? Like,
A lot of factors.
and how much is done, right? You get one near the beginning in a small section. You know, you got to weigh the pros and the cons. It's like it might just be beneficial to call it right here, or it's like, no. If I call it here, that means all of this is garbage, right? You could be almost full. You could be ready to go. And something lets go, right? So now everything's kind of drooped down to that spot where it lets go.
been there.
Yeah, you can't leave that like that. Like you can't just start pouring again the next day. You need to, in that moment, stop pouring, regroup, recover, fix, brace, and then continue to go, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to say over a microphone, but
yeah.
it's
Again,
about the worst. The worst part about doing concrete is the odds of a blowout or
Yeah.
having to go through that, right?
yeah. Again, why homeowners and other newbies should just stay the hell away because it's completely unforgiving. The cost of something detonating is unbelievable.
And the
For
safety.
the, and for the builder or homeowner who hires the true newbie with zero experience, boy, are they taking a risk, right? And does that newbie have the experience to recover when shit does detonate, assuming it detonates? So they actually have the experience to recover, right? There's so many factors, but the bottom line is Framing, nothing against carpenters, electricians, plumbers, but when shit blows up, it's actually pretty goddamn easy to fix.
Maybe Sparkies have something to say. You know, they make a mistake, it's life-threatening.
But I'm just saying, like, you screw something up, it's like, oh man, that piece of conduit shouldn't be there. Like, you have time to think about shit. You can stand there and bad things aren't necessarily happen. Yeah. Concrete, it's like it starts flowing. It's like, holy shit, all bets are off, man. There's like no stopping.
No, but still, even like, you know, plumbers, right? Sprinkler fitter. It's like, we just pressurize the system, and then until it's like, there's 3 floors flooded. What are we gonna? You know, everybody's got their spots where it's
very
like,
true, very true.
Don't mess with this one part of my job because it can go terribly wrong real quick, or it could just another day in paradise, right?
Yeah.
But it's how you handle it.
It's all in how you handle it.
Well, stand in front of a finished foundation that's all cleaned up and stuff, and then ask yourself the question: what if this was all fucked, and we had to remove it?
That's a good point.
On our dime. And replace it.
Now you didn't make any money.
Well, that's an understatement. You
You're
probably
go
lost your
bankrupt.
season. You probably lost your season.
Yeah.
Like you just, it's like you've just literally lost your entire season.
Yeah, imagine like flooding the penthouse of the Shangri-La. You know what I mean? Like again, everybody's got their parts that are you can't screw up this one part. You have one job here.
Yeah.
And don't make a mistake at that time, right? And I think it's fair to say with almost every trade that there's that one thing that you do, and we just happen, that's like really the big thing that we do, is pour concrete. Weeks of preparation go into 3 hours of work, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys are second on site, so to speak. I guess technically first on site, but second on site of a job.
Well, demo excavation, sometimes shoring, and then we're in.
Yeah, right. So and then the ball gets rolling, right? So I go back to how important the foundation is. You've got second floor, third floor, whatever. You got everything connected. You got all mechanicals connected. You got structural connected. Based on that, if that's not done properly, and if it's done by newbies,
getting out of the ground clean, quick, all that fun stuff.
It's the biggest hurdle. It's the biggest first hurdle.
Yeah. Once you get out of the ground, everything's waterproof, backfilled, etc. passed, life just becomes a lot easier if you're the builder.
We're getting close to wrapping it up, gentlemen. I just want to ask you guys, would you choose another trade than the trade that you're doing?
Would I like to try another trade?
No, would you choose it? Looking back on it, would you choose another trade? Or do you still have that much love for this concrete? You wouldn't choose another trade? No? George, would you choose another trade?
I mean, I started off carpentry and then managed and blah, blah, blah. Kind of rolled into that right away at a very young age. But I have to say something that I do enjoy. This would be a shout out to my plumber, Ian, because I tell him all the time, man, I don't know why.
You like plumbing?
I love plumbing. I can't explain it. I like the methodical planning stuff out of how everything's going to be like, psh, 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 psh. Like, you know, an HVAC guy or a plumber who's really got it dialed in.
Are you a PEX guy or are you a copper guy?
Well, I used to be strictly a copper guy until the wall thickness in copper became basically the thickness of a sheet of paper, at which point copper sucks balls. So unless you spend the money on the big thick stuff, forget it. So I'm a PEX guy now, right? Now there's areas where you got to use the copper period to do it right. But the point is, I kind of like the puzzle of making it beautiful, of doing it right, you know, that kind of thing. I enjoy putting that together. And I think that's why if I like HVAC or plumbing, I feel like I could dig my teeth into that.
Adam, Ryan?
Yeah, I would stick with concrete, yeah. I'd traded it for doing this, but yeah, still kind of in it, yeah.
I can't picture any other trade.
I don't know. To me, it's the devil you do, you know, versus the devil you don't, right? Like, I have a lot of, all of my closest friends are in trades, whether they own companies, and it's all different trades. And to hear the horror stories as they, you know, pop up, it's like, that really sucks.
Every trade has
That's what I mean. I was like, that sucks. So it's like anything that I don't like about concrete right now, there's something equally as shit waiting for me in the next trade. So at the end of the day, you got to take the good with the bad with the good. I wouldn't go anywhere personally. I'm happy where I am.
I think the big thing is, are you smiling every day? Like, do you get up and want to go and do this?
And you want to go.
You want to go and do it. Now, there's going to be days you're going to get up and it's like, I want to shoot myself in the face. It's 2 degrees out and pouring rain and this has to happen, right? Just has to, and you got to get out there and you got to do it. And every tradesperson knows what I'm talking about. There are times, as much as you love it, you just are like, man, I do not want to leave the house right now. Like, you just hate every bit of it.
Sitting in the truck in the morning, it's like, okay. You gonna do this? You gonna get out of the truck? Yeah, we're gonna get
Yeah,
out of the
it's
truck
tough.
right now.
You're
Let's do it.
by yourself in the truck, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's a typical day in the truck, right? Like, oh man, I don't know.
I just want to clarify. That's all.
But if you like hard work and you like the thing that you're doing, like anything, every day's not going to be perfect, right? There's going to be days that are going to suck. But if overall it's like, yeah, I kind of dig this. This is my jam. That's a win.
Is it harder for a newbie to get started in the winter months versus the summer months, or does it matter?
Far less glamorous in the winter months.
Yeah.
In a room, yeah.
Mind you, I want you to step in on this too. It's not winter that's that bad. It's not summer that's that bad. It's mud season.
Yeah.
Spring.
So in between, spring
spring
and
and
winter.
Spring is called mud season.
Summer, it's a bitch in ICF.
Oh yeah,
Hot. Gets a
you're
little-
inside of a
That
hot
fucking
box.
hole at 65 degrees down
Just
there,
holding that.
and
Yeah.
there's no fucking wind at all.
You're in a
Yeah.
cooler, huh? And the
Yeah.
top's down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just fries you.
If they can make it through July and August, they're golden the rest of the year.
Or if you have enough power on site, get those great big giant like big ass fans. I think they're called those huge fans.
Oh, come on.
Park
I'm
them
not
in the-
spoiling people.
Yeah, come on.
I had to work in the gate to hell, so do they.
There you go.
So true.
Fair enough.
Any other thoughts you guys want to share as we wrap it up? This has been an interesting conversation. I love this.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
this has
it's
fucking
been good.
great, right?
It's always nice to chat about stuff.
You
and
got
talk about
electricians
business.
and plumbers and trim guys just glazed over like they're in headlights right now over this whole conversation. They didn't know a single thing that we're talking about.
No, they didn't hear a word.
Just get the foundation done so we can get working, all right? That's all we care about.
Yeah, bastard. Where's that sleeve where I wanted put in here?
All
Why
I
is it
care
in the
about
wrong
is
spot?
where my pipe's gonna go. That's all. I don't give a shit about foam. I don't give a shit about concrete. I don't give a shit about any of that.
true.
Yeah.
You will once you start building the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no, it's
Absolutely.
been good, guys. Thanks so much. So basically, what we learned was no new kids deserve trucks and
Yes.
and veneers. So
Yeah.
they don't deserve either one of
Unless
those.
you give them a Ram truck, because we just generally hate Ram trucks. So like anybody can have a Ram truck.
A
They're-
TRX,
Yeah.
even a TRX.
I don't know. It's Ram.
Yeah.
So they catch on fire a lot. Sorry, Ram.
Do they really?
Apparently. I know a couple people who have
There's
lost their
nobody.
trucks catching
Wait,
on
there's
fire.
there's no Rams here. Oh wait,
Adam,
Oh,
I don't
Ram?
like it though.
Okay.
I'm a GM guy. It was a cheap
Yeah.
truck. I didn't care to ding.
Nah, I should. You know what? They're
Wait
they're
a
actually
minute.
all
Wait.
great
I
trucks.
They're all
remember
great trucks.
Marco's a Ram.
Yes.
Do you don't remember the beating we
I
gave him
know,
on that podcast?
Marco's a
poor
Ram,
guy. Yeah, I know.
man. He's
We
like
just beat Marco.
his ears are perking up right now when he hears this.
That was
Yeah.
unmerciful the whole time. Actually, We
They
just beat
destroyed
on
it
the luck.
just because he's the only Ram guy in the crew.
No, there's two.
Well,
There's two
two
now.
guys.
Isn't
it's
there?
changed quite a bit over like the last couple of years. Yeah, all of a sudden, I guess Rams giving out good deals.
They're paying people to take their trucks, so there's more of them out there.
Man, I gotta wait like a year to get my Ford, but
I can get a Ram
Ram,
right
they're on
now.
the lot. I can
20
pick it up
Rams on the
tomorrow.
lot.
It's
I wonder what that is.
Does that tell you something? Hey, all the trades are booked for like 4 months, 5 months, but this guy's ready to go tomorrow. Might as well take that one.
Hire that guy.
Good analogy. That's a
and
very good
he's
analogy.
driving a Ram.
So yeah, and we talked a lot about. Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, George.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you, Adrian. No, this has been absolutely great. I think that the kids, the listeners out there, appreciate this conversation, man. This is all good stuff, man. So
Trades are awesome. Pick one that you
Yeah.
like and get into it. They're
and
fantastic.
find the
100%.
right crew to work for too. You may not find the right crew the first time out,
Right.
Yeah.
but then definitely ask as many, not too many, but ask as many questions as you possibly can and learn.
Yeah.
Always learn.
Knowledge.
Always keep your eyes open. and check.
I need to throw something in though on
Sure.
that one. When you're young and you start out, you don't truly have an appreciation for how good that crew or that company was at the beginning because you have nothing to compare it to.
It's true.
It's usually down the road that you go, man, was I lucky? I feel that way. I hated all the old guys I worked with, man. I
Yeah.
was like fucking Tony and Manuel and shit throwing stuff at me all the time. I was like, my God, I'm running everywhere. I can't make anybody happy, right? But it wasn't long after I looked back and I went, that was the best goddamn education I
Yes.
could have got.
Yeah.
And I didn't appreciate it at the time. So I guess the lesson here is when you get into the trades, people are going to be hard on you. You're going to have to work hard. You will not necessarily appreciate it in the first 5 years, but for the rest of your career, you will.
Yeah.
You got to pay your dues, and you will appreciate the people who work you and teach you. You'll appreciate them.
You'll forget about
Really
a lot of
will.
the stuff that you experience that you won't remember until later on.
100%. 100%.
That's just construction. That's just how it is, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's life. You don't appreciate it till it's gone, right? So if you can get through it down the road, it'll be a big win for you.
So, gentlemen, just give up your deets again. Let everybody know who we're talking about with.
Adrian, CRC Contracting. Instagram is c.r.c_contracting.
What's the new name of the company? Have you figured it out yet? Not yet.
Northern Diamond Development and Construction.
DGR?
DGR concrete forming. Just jam it and Google it. It'll all pop up.
Is DGR lifting? No, what was the other one that you had? Or is that done?
Which one?
You had another page as well, too.
The lifting, yeah, it's pretty much done.
Is it done? Yeah?
I wouldn't say it's done. It's not gone.
You don't feed it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, how many platforms going to say the same thing?
I mean, one of the things that we did, which thank God we did it, it was a smart move, is we analyze the shit out of everything all the time, because you can't make changes if you're not constantly measuring how you're doing, then you can't make decisions. And we figured out afterwards, like, you know what? That doesn't make money for all the grief. Gone. We're not doing that anymore. We don't need that piece of equipment. Out. Right? So there's a bunch of stuff that we were doing. We had a roll-off business. It's like, you know what? For all the risk and everything that's going on, this doesn't actually make any sense. So we picked the thing that we were unbelievably and exceptionally good at and the most experience at, and which is concrete forming. And we took everything else and went, and we slid it aside, and we're just focused on that.
How often do you guys make that assessment? Like as a
every
monthly?
day.
Every day.
Every day. Always measuring, always analyzing, always thinking. It's why I don't sleep. But again, this is part of, we're kind of lucky, and we have a bunch of people in the biz. We managed to cobble it together so that, I mean, the stuff that these guys are doing in the field is just absolutely incredible. And some of the stuff that I'm doing is absolutely incredible. But the bottom line is we all get to focus on like a thing, our swim lane. And that gives us the ability to do that. If I had to do 1/10 the shit Adrian's doing, there's no way I could be thinking about what's going on 3 years from now.
You guys are playing chess, man.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's hard. 16 hours a day, right? To get it done, 16 hours a day. But it's what makes him spin, and he loves it, which is great. We just operate a little bit differently, that's all. We don't operate better, we just operate differently. That's an important thing.
Well, every construction business is unique, so you just got to figure out your strengths and weaknesses. That's it.
And that's what we did.
That's the truth. That's the reality. You got to look at yourself in the convenience store mirror that you got in your excavator there. You got to look at yourself and just figure it out, right? That's all it is, man.
We stay focused on like ICF doing stuff that's kind of semi-quasi insane in traditional forming. It's like that's our gig.
Adam, they're deets.
The teeth. Yeah, so Adam.
IsoMatrixx
Building Products, yeah. So anything ICF, floor systems, roof systems, walls.
High rise. We didn't even get into any of that stuff, man. What's the highest?
That's a whole
other world.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, if you want to, this is interesting actually. Like low-rise buildings that are being built for rentals. ICF works because what are a lot of them being built out of?
Exactly.
ICF.
Yeah.
Because the people who own the buildings have done the math and go, I would be out of my goddamn mind to build this traditionally. ICF is so much more efficient. I am building this entire damn thing, all 8 floors of it, in ICF, all the way up, because it pays.
That's right.
They do the math. Their accountants do the math.
I'm sorry to say, I was actually scared a few years ago when I started talking about OBC introduced up to 6 stories in wood framing.
Yeah.
I seen a building go up like that. It was scary watching them build it.
It was scary walking around it.
Yeah.
I did not have a sense of security. And this was approved to OBC.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what's kind of cool about wood, it just behaves so much differently than steel. So like mass timber structures, all that fun stuff. Now I think a lot of it's kind of gone out the window because it's so expensive to build that way now that nobody can afford to do it. So the only time that's ever happening is if the government hires, an architect to do a mass timber, but it's a commission and it's a special building in a park or whatever. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know how anybody can afford to build mass timber with the current cost of wood.
So residential, commercial, institutional, high-rise, all kinds of stuff, systems.
Oh, yeah. And again, the important thing is if you look at the people that are doing a long math, what are they choosing?
Right.
Yeah.
They're choosing ICF.
So why not pay attention to that?
Right. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's like, it's all right in front of you.
It's right there. Yeah.
It's right there. Like someone's already figured it out. You don't have to even do the math. It's like, okay, if they're doing that commercially, guys putting up an entire building, spending $25 million or whatever to put this thing up and deciding on ICF.
It's funny how homeowners will go into the commercial building and just that's the environment that they're so used to. It's quiet, it's structurally sound, everything's safe. And we're trying to implement those details into residential and they're dismissing us from doing those details because they're thinking they're too expensive or they're not right for their house.
But
yet they spent more time in that office building working for somebody and in that environment, but they don't want it for their home environment.
Yeah.
It's a disconnect there for homeowners, right? So
build a place up to the roof like well in ICF, and you're pretty much going to heat it and cool it with the equivalent of like a few ice cubes and literally a kettle.
So,
like it's crazy.
Kind of a neat story. So the last house I built actually was my parents' 3,200 square foot bungalow, and it was started it in the fall, had it all closed in for winter, and I actually heated it with 2 space heaters, one in the basement, one on the main. It was 22 degrees,
Like
in the house.
Yeah.
Through winter. Yeah.
I have a shop that's about 2,000 square feet up north. There's no windows in it, mind you. I keep that thing sitting at around 16, 17 degrees all winter long, and it's got like 17-foot ceilings, et cetera, and all I use is, those little tiny ceramic heaters, little guys you buy for $30. I literally, and I have radiant floor heating in the floor, I don't even use it. I park the heater in the middle of the floor and I plug it in and I walk away.
And it's a flip side too when it comes to the summer months.
Yeah,
100%.
it's great. It's great. And then what I do in the winter is I preheat the floor, because then I start keeping everything closed up. I kind of preheat the floor, like on sunny days in the fall. I kind of pick a day that's nice and warm, leave the doors open, heats the floor up, I close everything up. I'm done.
And
the heating season is started and it just retains it like a battery.
It just retains, man.
Yeah.
I love it. That's why.
And the power goes out. If you lose your heating and everything goes to hell in a handbag, guess what happens? All of that energy, all that heat of everything is all stored inside the thermal mass of that building.
It'll last
and
you
it holds
days.
it.
Yeah.
Days and days and days.
Days
And
it'll hold it.
everybody's freaking out and their pipes are exploding and you're still sitting around, going, hey man, life's good in your underwear. And everybody else is just losing their minds.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I got an image now.
Yeah. Honestly. It's like a real thing.
Well, he showed up in shorts to begin with today, right? So it's like, and he's ending the day in his underwear.
Your house,
Where'd you find this guy, man?
your house becomes a storage vessel. Your structure is a battery, right? It becomes a battery. It's fantastic.
People, homeowners need to listen to boots on the ground.
Yeah.
They're not trying to sell you something. They're trying to educate.
Yep.
Is it more important that the homeowners listen, or, designers, architects, this, that, like I feel like
they're part of
they
it.
kind of got their ways of doing things, and that's, again, we build what they design, right?
When's the last time you saw ICF featured in any kind of home and
Very good point.
magazine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
ICF Weekly.
generally
It's on the front
speaking,
page.
I mean, generally speaking, when you see concrete kind of shown off, it's because the home is a modern home or whatever, and there's
Architectural.
like fireplace, architectural concrete and stuff, and exposed walls and stuff everywhere. Where ICF is just a utilitarian, like keep it warm, do a job. It's got a job to do. It's not there to look pretty, right? But you don't see it when it's all said and done. It just all vanishes. You don't see any of it, right?
In my first year of construction, I had this crazy idea where I wanted to build 2 houses side by side. One was OBC, bare minimum.
Yeah.
Second one, properly built. And I want to show the difference without it
Case
physically
study.
looking
case
different.
study. Bring in freaking engineer. Bring in.
And you would easily present
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah.
Like you would present, this is the much better way to build.
Yep.
And you would build it this way for reasons.
And actually on that point, I wish I could remember exactly. Anyway, the government of Canada does a fantastic job of actually, it can be like heat pumps, like all kinds of stuff. I don't know, maybe the US does this, maybe they do this in Europe, but you can find all this information kind of online if you do digging. They're constantly testing, like scientifically, your tax dollars being spent to test the crap and comparisons. It's all there. You can choose to build better.
Yeah.
Right? OBC is just the minimum standard to kind of get by, right?
Yeah.
But
It's-
you
and
can
it's also
build
not
better, and the data is right there,
But
like for free.
building better is not sexy for everybody. Building better is for a large portion of the trades community,
Yeah.
but it's not for the homeowners.
Well, it comes down to Mr. and Mrs. Smith or whatever you want to call them. Oh, the environment, this, that, and the other. They've got 2 giant SUVs outside.
I
They
don't
live in 9,000 square
care
feet,
about the
and the
environment.
energy efficient
I
is
care
terrible.
about my
and-
utility bills.
Right.
I like seeing double-digit utility bills.
Yeah.
Low double-digit utility bills. That's what I like seeing.
Yeah, if you want to help the environment, you can do it in ways that right now no one's paying any attention to whatsoever. If the fact you can build a house that lasts 400 years instead of 50 years,
Yeah.
wow.
That's huge.
Wow. Nobody's
But all these,
thinking
but
about
all these
that.
new homes that are being built right now, subdivision-wise, just a traditional way, bare minimum building code, they're barely going to get 50 years, man, before they get knocked down.
Well, they literally get just very quickly replaced. I mean, the roof's done in under 10. The mechanical systems are done in under 10.
Scary, yeah.
Like everything is
Scary.
the appliances, if they go 3 years, the miracle of God. Like I could just go on and on.
Yeah.
I can't believe appliances. I just bought a dishwasher. It's like well, you can buy this one, you can expect like 5 years, but if you buy the good one, 7-8 years. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Or you could just
I'm pretty sure
wash your dishes.
Exactly. Exactly.
You want to get good money for stuff on Kijiji, man? Old appliances. People who are selling, I got an 18-year-old Frigidaire. Man, I'll give you $400.
Is it
for
in
that.
green?
never
I
gonna
want it
stop.
to be green.
Yeah.
It has to be green.
They last forever. We have a refrigerator in our shop that came out of my mother-in-law's house, which has to be, it's an old side by side. I think it probably came from Sears or something. I think the thing is probably 40 years old. Just sits there
And it's still working.
perfectly.
Yeah.
And it will
Perfectly.
continue to work.
I bet it's there for another
And when it needs to be
25
repaired,
years.
you go to Reliable Parts and you get the one part for $10 and you replace it and it continues to work.
The new stuff, you can't do it.
Gentlemen, thank you so much, man. It's an absolute
you.
pleasure. Emails to get a hold of people, or you guys want to share phone numbers, deets, whatever.
Just Google us.
Just Google
Google
it. That's
IsoMatrixx,
it.
yeah.
Just Google it.
DM me.
DM you on Instagram,
Yeah.
and then also to get a hold of you is IsoMatrixx with 2x's.ca.
You got it.
That's it. Any questions, any whatever comments, or they want to try it out and they want to, you'll turn them away if they're a brand new kid,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, every time.
or you'll send them to these guys.
Yeah.
Go hang out with these guys for a week and then come back to me and tell me you still love and you want to do this, and then
Yeah.
let's talk from there.
Yeah, it's yeah. That actually I might do that.
Well, thank
Just
you,
for
Manny.
fun.
No, thank you guys. Absolute pleasure. Ryan, great to
you.
see you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate it, man. And thanks, George. Always pleasure to see you, man. And I'm glad that you're still driving around the Sprinter van before you bought it, before the craziness. And you're probably looking at it going,
I'm keeping it forever, man.
Forever.
I think I'm going to be buried in it.
forever and ever and ever,
I
man.
love my sprinters.
4x4 as well. First year or 4x4? Was it the first year?
No, probably year 2 or 3.
The second
I
generation?
think.
Okay, yeah.
Year 2 or year 3, I
It
think.
still looks like it's brand new, eh?
It's been great. It's been good, man. 250,000 kilometers and the damn
Whoa.
thing just keeps going and going. The thing won't die. Wow. Yeah. I haven't had any decent repairs to it, have to do it at all outside of just like wearing no brakes or whatever.
And new rubber, and that's it.
That's it. Just keeps going. I'm just going to keep on driving it. Ryan's like, I would never drive a Sprinter.
What's wrong with you, man?
Hey, listen, I have not. They're very good utility vehicles for certain things.
Can't get any chicks, huh?
That's a long time ago. I can't even. I wear blinders when I walk down the street.
Yeah.
Adrian, thank you so much, man, for being back on the show. Thank you so
for
much,
having
man.
me.
This has been a great show, honestly, guys. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
I think that's it, Angeli. We're out of here.